Welcome. Oh, wait, let me wave.
Just my audio, though.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We won't need your footage, I don't think.
Of course not.
Welcome. Wait, I can't emote on this platform. That's really weird. Welcome, guys. It's that time again. We are for some balance with Boots, and
Balance with Boots.
It's a preview edition again. So the devs have given us exactly what is coming in the patch early. Now, I've produced a couple of videos over the last month where the devs gave very small snippets as to what's coming. This is for feedback. This is now what they've gone with, and it's the full patch. So Death Magic rework, Tactics line overhaul, some more thief changes off of the back of the Shadow.
Don't give me spoilers.
Stuff. No. They've said this already. They said this in a previous video, so it's not spoilers. We already know this. And, just other big things are in this release. So, yeah, let's roll on in. Boots has taken half the classes. I've taken half of them. You ready to jump in, Boots?
I sure am.
All right, so opening up, we've got Ireneo. Greetings all. As before, here's the planned balance notes for next week. So this is going to be in 6 days now.
So this is going to be something, it seems like this is something they're going to be doing every time now, right?
So far, yeah. I mean, this is like the third one in a row, fourth one in a row, actually.
Something like that, yeah.
And these come irregularly enough that means, it's been like half a year of doing it this way. Really, if not more. So, yeah, it's pretty good. They say, General, when we originally created Alacrity and the Barrier effect, they're talking about the visual effects right now, guys. They were intended to be profession-specific, but we've changed this stance after seeing how the game changed and evolved over time. We now see Alacrity on multiple classes, Barrier on multiple classes. While the original effects were visually iconic for their initial professions, it was a good time to update them with a look that could fit any profession.
I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like.
Dude, me too, because I hate Alacrity in particular. I think Alacrity, in fact, am I playing a Renegade right now? This is so...
It's very visually noisy.
Yeah, it's so ugly, man. And it ruins, like, all the raid footage, all the fractal gameplay. I really, really, really loathe it. And it kind of undermines, like, Aegis looks really good, and Retail looks really good, and Might, the little glowing hands and stuff. This stuff
and
sucks.
The barrier, just like a big shroud of sand, is kind of annoying, too.
Yeah, it's like Alacrity, but... Yellow. Exactly, right. So we don't know what this will look like. We'll have to do a full-up video and see these guys. But then they also say the Special Forces training area conditions on the preview Hollow Golem will no longer be removed by player skills. And then we have items. Now, this was actually already established, but let's go over it. Superior Rune of the Antitoxin will no longer double condition cleanse from allies. Instead, it double condition cleanses whenever it would be a cleanse on you. So it's still worthwhile. It's still a rune set you'll pick where you're like, I want big cleanse. But
it's not crazy overpowered.
Yeah, you won't be running this on a Purge Gyro, Medkit Scrapper in World vs. World and doing this.
Well, you might still do it just for yourself, though.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be a little bit more selfless. This is going to affect Condi balance and metagame for World vs. World Zerging, I think, in one of the more significant ways. Also, did they say that there was a bug with this that got fixed? Oh, maybe not. Maybe that was something else. So, yeah, that's general changes, and I think they start off pretty well there. I'm really happy with the Barrier and Alacrity thing, dude.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but it's good.
Yeah, okay, so Ellie, let's go through together. Do you want to read this out, Boots, and see what they've gone with here while I get in game and show people off a little bit of Ellie stuff? It's a mainly Tempest-oriented patch, guys, I think.
Yeah. So in this update, we're following up on some of the Tempest changes from the previous update. Speedy Conduit has been a lackluster trait for a while, so we're combining it with Harmonious Conduit and creating a new trait that grants concentration.
Can I just butt in for 1 second, just so that people see on stream? We're talking about this minor trait on an elite specialization, okay? This is basically a fake trait. It's Speedy Conduit Overloads give you swiftness, which they could have just rolled in on the initial trait and the baseline effect of an overload, right? It's basically they copped out of making a minor, and it's just blatantly, like, bad. So they've removed it, which is good, and that's turning into something new. So I just wanted people to really know as they go in. All right, go on, guys.
Imbued Melodies is being removed. We felt it wasn't very interesting while also being unnecessarily restrictive by being tied to the Warhorn. Its replacement, Transcendent Tempest, provides an effect that is unique among other Grandmaster traits, which we hope will provide a more meaningful choice when compared to other options.
Yeah, this is cool. Okay, so they also have some core Ellie and other changes, including something I actually talked about in one of my videos, which I'm really happy about. So what do we got first, Boots?
So Signet of Air, this skill can now be activated to break stuns without a target, Activating the skill while out of range of a target or without a target while not under control effects will put it on interrupt cooldown. So that's cool. I like that.
That's really weird, dude. First, I didn't even know you needed a target to stun break with Signet Bear. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, and I also didn't know, like, so this is the first time. Is this the first time they have a skill that goes on interrupt cooldown in this manner with two different condition effects? Like, it conditionally goes on interrupt cooldown if neither of these things are active?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is the first. I mean, we've definitely seen stuff that will put itself on ICD. Like, if it's a skill that you have to be facing someone and then it will do that. But
or if something's out of range.
Are there some that do that when you're out of range, are there? That's interesting.
Well, I think I remember a balance patch where they changed something to do that if you're out of range.
Interesting. But yeah, I really, I didn't know this about it. And it seems like a new direction they're going in. I wonder what other skills, like, qualify.
Yeah, I like that, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Glyph of Renewal for Renewal of Fire. Reduce the amount of invulnerability granted while reviving the Elementalist from 5 seconds to 1 second.
This is it. This is what I said, Boots. Okay, so they've done some previews about the Mesmer skill, Illusion of Life, which I think is very strong, and I've been using to great effectiveness. I sustained a legend rating for a long time this season in PvP. Like, very high on the leaderboard. I was kind of doing some other cheesy things, but Illusion of Life is super strong. And I think people hadn't caught on because I think, well, anyway, we don't need to get into that. But the devs actually are looking into nerfing it. And so I talked a lot about it. And over on the Illusion of Life with the Mesmer, they're doing the same thing. The invulnerability is getting nerfed. And they did a preview, and I said, look, ArenaNet, if you're going to do that on Illusion of Life, I know it's relevant for Illusion of Life, there's another skill in the game exactly the same. Nobody's running it right now, but it'll become a problem later on down the road, and that's Renewal of Fire. So make sure that you do it there too. Nobody plays this skill. Nobody in the game plays this skill or uses.
So I get it. You're right. But then, like, if nobody plays this skill, is it even worth it to use now? Especially that it's nerfed before anybody ever uses it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got a point. I think though, good housekeeping, uniformity. They're making this nerf here.
Yes, for good housekeeping, I agree. But they're gonna have to do something else to this skill in order to make it usable. No?
Totally. It's got a very prohibitive cooldown and cast time, and there's things going on with it. But they've done that preemptively now, and I'm really, really happy with this. I don't know. I'm going to be a bit arrogant on this one, guys. I think they might have listened to us. So, yeah. Anyway, it's a cool skill. It's a weird idea to be able to raise yourself. Kind of some old nature spirit druid gameplay. It reminds me of from way back. Anyway,
reminds me of my Revenant Engineer back in the day.
Yes. Yeah, that was a good one, dude.
So then we got Burning Rage, reduce the burning. Okay, so this is sad for me. Reduce burning duration from 5 seconds to 4 seconds on Burning Rage, but it's necessary. I think it's the trait, the major trait in the fire line, the new one that your Sunspot gets triggered whenever you swap to fire.
Oh, right, okay, yeah,
and does an additional 2 stacks of burning for 5 seconds.
This is a new trait, realistically, that we talked about in a recent one. It increases the radius of Sunspot too, right? Here it is.
Yeah, so the thing about this thing is, though, that it single-handedly brought, like, Condi Ellie damage, Weaver damage up to, like, an additional 6k DPS, essentially, or something like that. Or 4K,
we're talking about PvE formats.
PvE, yeah.
Okay.
PvE. So, like, it went from my Earth Shield Ellie thing went from like 26k to 32k just from that change.
Jesus Christ. Dude.
So yeah, it makes sense that they are nerfing it a little bit because it was a little bit overpowered.
This is a triple trait, man. It's a radius increase augmenter. It gives you condition damage. And it does damage of its own, 2 stacks of burn. I mean, it's only a second that they're dropping, right? Isn't that what we just
said? So it's not they're not over nerfing it, which is good. But they are doing what probably they should do. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Then we got the Speedy Conduit stuff that they're talking about. The trait has been removed. Its functionality is combined with Harmonious Conduit and has been replaced with Gathered Focus.
Okay, so the people watching the video here, this minor is being deleted. Its effect is just getting added to Harmonious Conduit, this one down here, all right? Which
and is being changed name.
Yeah, and its name's changed. So there's now an open slot here, and the open slot, Boots, is...
Gathered Focus. This new trait takes the Master tier, minor trait slot, and it grants 120 concentration plus an additional 120 concentration while the Elementalist is above 90% health.
So that's kind of huge. If you're on top of things, no matter what format you're in, honestly, You could say with raids, you could say with fractals or whatever, if you're running a friggin' support Tempest there. You spend a lot of time above 90% health if you're not being focused. You really do. 240 concentration. That's mental.
What is that in boon duration?
Well, we already have a trait that gives us increased concentration, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Grandmaster, Imbued Melodies. So that's 300, which is slightly more.
Imbued Melodies is being changed, right?
I know. But just for demonstration purposes for people on the footage here, if I slot this and I go for 300 concentration here, all right, it puts my boon duration up to 20% just from that. So it's like 16% boon duration just from a minor.
That's pretty good.
I like that a lot. It's much better than, what is essentially nothing.
Yeah, and it's built in, too. You don't have to actually trade for it.
I do think this affects the flow of being a Tempest a little bit. A lot of us Tempests, we're used to proc in an overload, cancel cast it, quickly attunement swap, and then do it again just to keep swiftness rolling on us. You won't do that now unless you actually trait for the swiftness. But I kind of like that sense a little bit more, though.
So what this means, though, that, for the concentration, you don't need to take Imbued Melodies anymore, which doesn't exist.
Well, let's keep going and talk about that when it comes up.
So Harmonious Conduit no longer increases damage after completing an overload. Instead, it grants swiftness in addition to stability.
And then it swapped positions so that it's the whole bottom line is support and then the middle line. So this is actually a really... What do you think about this trait now? Basically, there's going to be a trait that is... Get stab on overload and swiftness on overload. That's it. That's all it will do.
Swiftness. Yeah.
That's all it's going to do. Stab and swiftness on overload.
I mean, it's okay.
I think it's a really weak trait now. I really do. I already forsake the stab.
Because the 10% damage was kind of the reason you took it a lot of the times.
Yeah, for some formats, 100%. Definitely, that was a big reason why you took it. So now, I think it's going to be kind of curious,
Yeah, I mean, for competitive modes, you might take it for the stab. Stab's important, especially when you're doing a weird skill that locks you in place, like the overloads,
or locks you into an animation. Yeah, I think aggressive Tempests will probably still want the stab and the swiftness because you want to rotate. You want to be able to get in and out, or in PvE, it's the same. The same is true. So I think that having them all on that line, it will sort of feel like the damagey line, and there is a reason for it. But yeah, that's kind of big to me. Anyway.
Then we got Invigorating Torrents. This trait has switched positions with Harmonious Conduit, and its functionality is unchanged. Okay. Then finally, Imbued Melodies.
So this is our new Grandmaster. People are going to be wondering, well, where's my 10% damage gone? Right? That's the main thing. Yeah. It's not gone. It's now GM.
This trait has been reworked, and its name has been changed to Transcendent Tempest. This trait reduces the time it takes to attain a singularity by 33% when switching elements, and increases outgoing damage and condition damage by 7% for 7 seconds after an overload completes.
Wow. I kind of adore this, right? So before it was a 10% modifier, now it's just 7%, so people are going to cry foul, right? But it's not foul.
But it's 7 damage and condition damage.
And the point is you're getting your overloads quicker.
Yep.
Okay, so if you're playing a Fresh Air... I just made an open world build video for everyone where I recommend Fresh Air Tempest, right? To spam air overloads. You now, you trigger air attunement, you go in, and you get the overload. When it says attain a singularity, so when our attunement...
That means get your overload.
Yeah, the overload's initial charge. This is I'm attaining singularity.
Which I think is on a 50... Oh, okay. So, but is the cooldown after using an overload also affected by this?
I doubt it. I don't think that's attaining a singularity. I think attaining the singularity is once you're in an attunement, it builds the overload.
The 5 seconds.
Yeah. So, but that's really good. I like that a lot. Okay. So, and you get the damage modifiers on there too. And but big fans of mine will remember on my second channel years ago, I did a massive deconstruction with what I was so miffed about with Tempest back during the Heart of Thorns only days before we had Weaver and all this stuff. And I back then recommended a solid DPS choice Grandmaster juxtaposed with some other ones, which, we haven't really had on Tempest. Some of these GMs have felt awkward before. But so we're going to get that. We're going to be like, okay, do you want the big support one or do you want the big damagey one? I really like this, Boots. I think
I like this. This is a nice... it is a unique Grandmaster, which is what this place needs, what Tempest needs a little bit, and it probably will make playing Tempest feel a little less clunky than it does for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I may do a little video. People are going to be wondering about my open world builds after this goes in. I'll probably do an update video at the end of the series where I talk about all the little balancings that have changed. But in general, it's not bad. All right, cool. So that's Elementalist. Who wants to start, Boots? Do you want to do yours?
I think you should, because I just read the Elementalist stuff.
Okay, all right. I thought we sort of co-opted that, but
I did a good job there. I think it was mostly me.
All right, all right, fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Rev, guys. All right, now there are some big reworks. You're going to want me to get to Necro because of the death magic thing, but we'll get there. I'm going to start with Rev because it's pretty short and sweet, pretty comfortable. So, we already heard a little bit about Coalescence of Ruin. That's the Hammer 2, all right, and it being spammed in World vs. World. Here's what they've settled on, and here's their philosophy. In addition to some changes to Coalescence of Ruin and to Gaze of Darkness aimed at World vs. World play, we're also tuning up a few of Malix's legendary Demon Stance skills from the last update, as we felt they ended up on the weak side.
Yep.
Chalice, and don't get too excited, Boots. I mean, actually, the Malix stuff is good, but it's not, you know, a big Malix change. Anyway, the previous one we saw was bigger. Chalice's legendary Dwarf Stance skills are also seeing some improvements aimed at making them more powerful and easier to use to better warrant the use of your energy. Now, the Chalice, I'm actually really excited about some of the Chalice stuff. Okay, so Hammer. Yeah,
because I know a couple of those skills are kind of not used that often.
Yeah, for example, the Road, when I'm playing
it's too slow.
Yeah, well, have I got a treat for you, Boots? Okay. So, Coalescence of Ruin, first of all, Hammer 2, no longer does increased damage on successive cascading impacts. It now always does damage equal to what was previously the second impact damage. So they picked the middle of the road damage, and they've gone with that, okay? So it's kind of a nerf in some situations. It's kind of a buff in other situations. There you go. But the important bit is that they've added a red warning rectangle visible to enemies.
Ah, good. Okay, good.
Oh, wow, Boots, I logged out on my Renegade on one of these moving platforms, and it's bugged me. Oh, no, I'm okay. Yeah, so on one of the previews, they did talk about a lot of stuff for Hammer, and they said, well, look, we're adding this Telegraph too. And I was kind of just thinking, and I think we discussed this, do the Telegraph first. You know, the Telegraph might be enough. It might be really fun to fight against.
Yeah, you don't have to
Hammer.
nerf it as well as the Telegraph.
Exactly, right. See whether, you know, once the Telegraph's in, maybe it creates this fun gameplay now. Because that's the kind of annoying thing about Hammer, just getting suddenly chunked, right? But now you see them coming in. I think that could be good. So, so that's the Hammer change, and I'm all on board. Next, Embrace the Darkness. They've lowered the recharge time from 10 to 3. So this is Malix triggering the Elite Stance. And I don't really know what I feel about this, because sort of the flow of being a Rev is you're only going to spend about 10 seconds in any Legend anyway, right? So I'm going to go Malix. I'm going to hit the Elite. I'm going to use it till I'm drained, and then I'm going to swap out again super quick, surely?
Probably, yeah.
So how often am I like in a world where I toggle out of Malix and then I toggle back in?
Malix Embrace the Darkness used to not even have a cooldown to it, really.
Oh, did it not? Did it not?
No. Before the last change, I think it had, like, you could just pop in and out whenever you want. There's like a 1 second internal cooldown to it, but you could pop in and out whenever you wanted. And I was actually trying to make, before this happened, I was trying to make a build with it that, like, with runes that activated on elite skill use, and but it wasn't going so well.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's a corruption trait that means you get resist whenever you use a Malix skill, right? So maybe hitting that a lot was kind of a thing. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I think the most prohibitive thing about this skill is the cast time. If this was a toggle like Herald stuff, all right, and I appreciate that's kind of Herald's thing, so it's weird, but if it was, it would improve the usability of this so much. I want to swap into Malix, have whatever this is giving me, but not complicate. You know, I want to use Banish Enchantment straight away, or I want to use Call to Anguish. I don't want to be like have this clunky kind of slowdown. That's what feels bad to me about Malix, and always has felt bad about it for a long time. But you know, so now you're not having a full 10 seconds when you toggle. It's a bit quicker. I don't know. I don't think it's much. Yeah. Next, we've got Gaze of Darkness. So this isn't Malix, this is Herald. This is the flip over on the Fury facet. It now reveals stealth up to 600 range away, inflicting blindness and vulnerability. So this is the World versus World thing. They keep pumping reveal into World versus World boots.
Yeah, so they put it back in as well I'll get to it later, but it also seems as though they are standardizing, and I think this is a good idea, standardizing the range at which stealth gets revealed for all of these skills to 600.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, in terms of like their radius kind of thing.
Yeah, their radius. So one of them used to be 1200 and it's going down to 600. One of them used to be like 300, it's going up to 600. So yeah, they're standardizing it all to 600. So now thieves will be able to kind of know.
Oh, that's
how
a
far
good
away
point
they
too. Well, I want it. You know when you're like blind, Boots, it closes in the screen a little bit. I want an effect like that for reveal. Maybe it should be white on the borders so that when you're playing against reveal, because I find playing when you get random revealed by like a Sikkim or something, it's so frustrating.
You're like, what happened? I'm trying to go with stealth again. It's not working. I'm panicking.
Yeah. And some people are going to say, just look at your tooltips, bro. But sometimes it's really intense the moment you're in and you miss it by a slight second. And I'm not sure whether... And some people are going to say, well, that's the whole point of reveal. I want you to waste your initiative. But I feel like that's kind of an underhanded side of reveal. I like the idea of it as a tool that everyone understands, right? And so, yeah, I like the idea of a little bit more telegraphing, especially as they pump more and more and more in. Especially in World versus World.
Which just have a big like pop up in the screen that goes revealed.
Yeah, or something to that effect. Anyway, True Nature. This one's interesting to me. When you're a Herald, the F2 double tap. When you're in Shiro, it's boon removal. It's high base damage. It's a big skill. It will hit through walls and stuff. Now, all of those Herald F2 double taps, the little pulse AoEs, they're all 600 radius. And so the Shiro one's really strong, and I've wanted a nerf for a long time. But I thought they wouldn't touch the radius, which is, the thing that enables it to go through walls and stuff in this cheesy way. I thought they wouldn't touch the radius because if they touch the radius on one, the idea is it's like a uniform thing. And you always like have no matter what legend you're in, you have an expectation of how far it'll go. I thought they would have nerfed the damage or something. Instead, they're going the radius. So it's a weird thing now where every single legend will have
600 except for this.
Yeah, except Shiro. I just think that's not what I expected. It's fine. I don't think it's a big deal, but there you go. Now next, here's a Mal exchange. Boots, listen to this. The Call to Anguish. Okay, so we are dealing with the Leap skill that they recently turned into a hard CC. Okay, they changed it. It no longer creates a field. A lot of you will remember this is a chill pulsing field that you could combo with the Torment trait. Yep. It's now a hard CC that pulls people in. They've buffed it from pretty much every angle. It's now cheaper, 35 to 30 energy. The recharge is now quicker, down to 3 seconds. This is the big one. Increase the radius from 240 to 360. Oof. And increase the damage by 33. So it's not really a flat damage skill anyway. So
how much was the damage to begin with?
Well, it's okay actually. The damage is reading 612 for me right now. But anyway, the point
that's not bad.
The point is that's a big radius. I like that a lot, man.
That is a big radius, and it's a big radius for a CC. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah, that's gonna be so fun in PvE
with a 3-second cooldown.
Yeah, just ball stuff up as you're on a dungeon or a fractal clear or something like that when you're running through the story instances, and it will be threatening in other modes too. I really like the radius of that going up. Radii are one of those weird things where people underestimate. Even a small increase can actually be very big.
So 360 in some cases is like if you're in the center of a point on PvP. That's basically the whole point, right?
Yeah. Is it not already? Isn't 240 already a whole point?
It depends how big the point is, I think.
Well, oh yeah, because they are obviously different sizes. But anyway, guys, I'm excited about this. Call to Anguish, that's your big thing there. But then, let's look at Chalice. Boots, the Chalice stuff's even cooler. Check this out. Inspiring Reinforcements. So the road increased the pulsing stab duration from 1.5 to 3 seconds. So they doubled the stab. And don't forget, it refreshes. So now the road is sustaining 2 stab on people instead of 1. Pre-concentration or stuff, right?
Nice, okay.
Increase the initial stab from 2 to 3 seconds. Increase the speed at which the road is built by double.
By 100%. Oh, yeah.
Increase the road length from 600 to 900.
That sounds good.
This is great because, like, if you guys look at the footage right now, all right, if I'm running forwards and I have no swiftness, yeah, okay, I build the road. But look at this. I'm, like, at the end of the road with no swiftness as I place it. This feels lame, man.
Yeah. Well, this is what you do. You put on a mace, cast the Road and do your Mace 3 on it and get lots of swiftness.
Yeah, and because you run along with the bounce or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
the Road build's too slow and I'm at the end. Come on, this is crazy, ArenaNet. They know that. So now the Road comes down twice as fast, which already eliminates that problem, and
That's
it
really
goes
good.
further. Also, this is one of my favorite animations in the game, and it's only going to look better when it's longer, right? It's only
That's
gonna look
what she said.
So, best change so far. It will be very convincing to the ladies out there. Next, we've got Forced Engagement. This one's really fun as well. So this is the chain you throw out and taunt someone. Increase the damage reduction from 20% to 33%.
Ooh.
Chalice just gets so many modifiers lately that reduce the incoming damage. It's crazy. Okay, the skill also is AoE now. It will throw chains up to 4 additional targets.
Okay, that changes everything.
Yeah, so you're gonna whack out all these chains on like a whole group, pull them in, dude.
But I mean, but that's important though, because you throw out a chain to one person, get reduced damage by 20% to one person, and taunt them. But with 33% on 4 targets, that actually makes this like very, very strong.
I suppose I think you're totally right, and that's a cool takeaway. The thing that's really exciting to me is just another AoE hard CC in that way. I think that's just so cool. Think about this. Think about a Malik's Chalice like core rev or something that bombs in with a call to Anguish, all right, and then quickly swaps Chalice and chains them all in like a 360 circle around you because they're all next to you, and they're getting pulled in again. Like you can just combo these together. It's very exciting to me.
Swap back and forth between them. 10 seconds.
Yeah, oh my god, man. So, yeah, Forced Engagement is looking fun post-patch.
Is there still a trait somewhere that, like, removes additional stability?
Yes, if you go Devastation while Quickness is up.
Yeah, there's your build right there. Have fun, guys.
You can go a Brutality thing. So next, 2 minor things. Focus Siphoning in PvE is now going to heal you for more, which is excellent because I haven't shown you guys my Revenant video yet, but Life Seal is going to be a component, so you'll just re-sustain harder. And then a very minor change, Elder's Respite. So this is a salvation trait that means when you go below a certain health threshold, you gain regen. And they've put a cooldown on it so that people won't cheese it, just dipping up and down, I don't know, out of combat, and then stack insane regen duration that they take around everywhere. So, yeah, that's pretty minor.
Pretty good. Okay, so I guess I will continue. Should I go to something like groundbreaking or something less groundbreaking?
Let's do something groundbreaking. People are going to be looking for it. Let's hear it, Boots. What do you want?
Okay, let's go to Warrior.
Oh my god, you are going groundbreaking. Okay. That's what I wanted to mention at the start of the video. So, we, just so you know, Boots, we did have a bit of a preview, did a mini video about it, where they did talk about some Warhorn changes that seemed crazy. So I know a bit about those, and I've glossed over this, but, wow. All the tactics stuff is new.
Yes. Okay, so in this update, we're focusing on changes to the tactics trait line and Warhorn skills. We've removed the traits related to reviving allies, which is probably, they weren't that impressive anyway to begin with.
Yeah, it was like tankier while reviving, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and there was like nothing else really about Warrior that made it a revival spec. So
Warbanner, bro. Warbanner, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. All right, whatever. In order to make room for new traits and improvements to old traits that focus on more ways warriors can affect allies while they are still in the fight. The new tactics traits are focused around empowering allies through boons and effects, helping allies who are taking a beating, and a selection of warrior-enhancing battlefield strategies.
So, can I just ask you, Boots?
Yeah.
Do you believe in a support warrior post-patch?
In Love After Love?
in Love After Life, you mean?
Or is that
Life
what it is?
After
Yes.
Love? It's Life After
Life
Love.
After Love.
God damn
Love
it. Do you believe? Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you believe in a
Do I
support
believe in
warrior?
what?
Do you believe in a support warrior concept post-tag?
I have always believed in a support warrior
I love
concept.
it.
I continuously try to do shouts, and it's not the worst thing in the world.
Okay, well, let's see if it is after this. First one, Warhorn, right? Which is literally one of the most fallen behind weapons in the game at this point, I would say.
Yes, they tried to fix it a while ago, but didn't do so great.
Okay.
So we have First Charge, the Warhorn 4. The icon for this skill has been updated, which is, I think, the most important thing.
Okay.
This skill now only removes movement impairing conditions instead of, I think there's also like Torment and Burning or something on it.
Yep.
It now increases the damage of affected allies next to attacks by 25% or 10% in World vs. World for 8 seconds in addition to its previous effects. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I love this idea. One of the parts of the patch boots is getting rid of the coalescence of ruined cheese. And then they're also doing charge, though. And you can easily just have a warrior cast charge and then have all your revs do hammer too, right? And
yeah, now my question is this. So it's next to attack, so I'm guessing you get like 2 stacks of charge on every character around you.
Yeah.
If another warrior casts charge, do those stacks increase, or is there a max stack of 2?
That's a great question. I think that normally effects like that don't stack in that way, I think.
Probably not.
But
it is only for 8 seconds, so it's not like a permanent bonus that stays.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing it that way, though. That sounds really cool to me.
It does sound like it might be a little bit insane if you have like 10 warriors attacking and the next 20 attacks for everybody is 25% extra damage.
Yeah. Remember this, guys, as well. It affects the warrior too, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get to some other massive modifiers. And, yeah, just remember this.
Okay. So increase swiftness duration from 10 to 15 seconds, and it is now a blast finisher.
So a blast finisher on a 15-second cooldown. It's not bad. I like this as a blast.
Not bad. The Call to Arms was also a blast, and I think we're going to continue looking at this now. Call to Arms, the skill has been renamed Call of Valor, and its functionality has changed. Removed an unnecessary, unblockable skill fact. Fine. This skill now removes 3 conditions from effective allies instead of specific conditions. Okay, so instead of so the first charge is movement impairing, which you'll use first, and then Call to Arms removes 3 damaging conditions.
Yeah. I like that combo, by the way. I think that's kind of like the whole escape cleansing combo. I think it's a cool idea. Also, 2 blasts, by the way, easy access, just blast. So any kind of water field or fire field or something, that feels really good for the Warhorn, I think. Just
agreed.
Conceive it.
And it now applies barrier in addition to vigor. So how much barrier is the question?
Yeah, definitely. Well, and how well does it scale with healing power?
Healing power. I'm going to guess it's like base 1,500 barrier, and then with max healing power, it'll be like 3,000.
Dude, I really want a heal warrior to work. A shout Warhorn warrior that spams barrier and stuff out. So one of the previews boots had resistance on this skill.
Oh,
are they saying that here? Yeah.
No resistance.
They were saying it was going to be 2 blast finishes. It was going to be barrier. It was going to have a trait. I think it was you could trait it to add resist. Maybe. Well,
let's keep looking and see if they add resistance.
I forgot. That might have been a trait, which might be there in the tactics rework. We'll see.
It might be. I'm gonna guess no though. All right. So continuing though, Sight Beyond Sight. This is another one of those reveal skills. Increase the radius of the skill to reveal stealth enemies with a radius of 600 now. So yeah. Standardizing it.
Right. This is still a weak skill to me, but hey.
What are you going to do? Burning Arrows. This trait has been removed, and its effect has been merged with Crack Shot in the Discipline line.
Okay, so when you go Discipline now, it's going to buff either of your range options. I don't think you're going to find rifle longbow builds, but the point is...
Well, that's where you're wrong.
Oh, really? Okay, all right, we'll see.
That's what I'm doing right away. No, yeah, probably not.
But
double ranged warrior.
Yeah, so you're not meant to look at that trait and think, oh, I'll take both and get double the value. I think it's just, hey, augment your projectiles on whatever weapon. I think that works.
Yeah, but it's good that it's out of the tactics line because I think that's always been out of place.
Because it's kind of damagey oriented and it's and that's not a damagey oriented line. Okay. Yeah.
I think originally might have been not out of place because, you had hand bows like buffing your party and stuff like that back in the day.
Right.
But yeah, whatever. Next we have Crack Shot, which is the trait we were just talking about. Instead of granting a bonus adrenaline for base harpoon gunshots, this trait now adds 3 seconds of bleeding to each shot. Okay. So it is kind of playing into maybe you take both and do some sort of Condi build.
Have a Condi rifle, yeah. It's a weird idea.
Yeah. So tactics, here's the big thing. Tactics. Okay. Tactics has been completely reworked.
Completely, guys. Like, full on.
Like, everything is gone except for, like, a couple of traits, and everything else has changed.
Okay, so let's do it in chunks, Boots. You deliver
I would like to start out by saying I'm very upset that the trait that nobody uses but I've always wanted to use, except for its underwhelming, Powerful Synergy is gone. RIP Powerful Synergy.
So, Powerful Synergy is kind of new as well, isn't it? I remember they added this, in my eyes anyway.
Not that new. It's like 3 years old.
Something like that. But yeah, it was like an experiment, right? Yeah,
yeah.
I sort of feel sad if powerful synergy's gone a little bit, but yeah, I never found a great usage for it. So hey.
Yeah, I'm very
maybe
sad. Anyway,
maybe powerful synergy. It's weird, Boots, because powerful synergy in a world with the new Warhorn with the double blast, so you get like quad blasts on Warhorn.
Yeah, I always like powerful synergy for like whirling in a fire field with your axe.
Yeah. Imagine if Warrior got an elite spec that added like water fields to its kit somehow next.
Yeah,
next
that would have been amazing.
And then you've got powerful synergy Warhorn where it's like 4 blast on such fast thing. Anyway, it's
done. It's gone.
All right, so let's do it. You read all of the minors, then we'll discuss them.
Okay.
Because otherwise we'll be here for years. Okay. So
new minors instead of revive stuff.
So these are pure passives, guys. These are the.
Yeah, these are the passives. Marching orders. This new trait grants Soldier's Focus every 15 seconds. This effect is expended when hitting with a burst skill to grant 3 stacks of might for 15 seconds to allies within 300 range. Empowered. Moved from the adept tier, the effects are unchanged.
Okay, so we get 1% damage per boon is now.
Yeah,
okay.
Flatline.
That's good, because that
baseline.
feels like a pure passive. All right.
Baseline, not flatline. Okay. Mending Might. Okay, this one is really weird to me, and I want to know so much more about it because it doesn't make any sense as it reads right now. Mending Might. This trait applies might to an ally and heals the warrior.
Okay, so Mending Might currently is your might adds heal power, right? Oh, wait, no. Currently we have Inspiring Presence, okay? Inspiring Presence is gain healing power for each stack of might that we have. And
Fine.
I can't remember if you share Inspiring Presence might out as well or what.
Fine, but that's gone. That doesn't exist anymore. Who cares about that?
Okay.
Right now we're getting something called Mending Might, which, as apparently the instructions say, this trait applies might to an ally and heals the warrior. When? Who knows? Why? Who knows? How much of either of them? Who knows?
Well,
it just does it.
What I'm thinking is they're talking about it in reference to Inspiring Presence. So the idea is that your might goes to... Is it like new phalanx, right?
I don't know. We still have phalanx. So, no.
Yeah, we do. I don't know. Yeah, this is... the way I originally interpreted this was, okay, whenever we apply might, we're also healing now. That's it.
But it says it heals the warrior, not...
Also, don't we already have...
we do.
Strength.
Yeah, we do.
Might makes right.
Mending Might is... I think this is like a placeholder trait that they're like, oh, we should do something like this, and then never flesh it out, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It feels very work in progress, doesn't it?
It does. I feel like this needs more writing to
What
it.
is
and
this?
we will get it on Tuesday.
It's pure passive as well. Every tactics warrior is going to have this.
Yeah. This trait
it sounds
applies
just like Might Makes
to an
Right.
ally.
That sounds exactly like Might Makes Right. It sounds like a strength GM, but it's in tactics.
It sounds like Might Makes Right for only yourself, yeah, but also gives might to an ally for some reason. So maybe every time you heal yourself, you give might to an ally?
That would be busted, wouldn't it, with something like Healsig? I don't know how this is going to work. Yeah. I mean, they put an ICD on it. It could work. Anyway, there you go. Leave your comments, your speculations. I'm sure
what the devs means.
Yeah, I'm sure the devs will have like a little update post somewhere people will inform us about.
Well, it'll be Tuesday, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, before Tuesday, they'll probably like explain.
I don't know. I don't think they need to.
All right. Well, okay. So the adept. So the first choice. What do we got?
Yes, we got Leg Specialist, which has always been there. In addition to its previous effects, this trait now grants 7% bonus damage against foes suffering from movement impairing conditions. Okay. The cooldown of this trait is now calculated per target, which is good. I like that part.
Okay.
Then we got Soldier's Comfort. This new trait heals nearby allies when Soldier's Focus activates.
And Soldier's Focus, just to remember...
is the minor that every 15 seconds while in combat, you get something called Soldier's Focus. And I don't think it's a stacking thing. I think it's like, as soon as in 15 seconds, as soon as you're in combat for 15 seconds, you are now focused.
Yeah, and then you can spend it with a burst skill. We probably should have talked about that a bit more. That's a whole
new thing. That's interesting. So that's an interesting thing, yeah. I like it. Is 15 seconds a little bit too long, do you think?
Possibly. It depends what the other traits do to augment it, because there's more Soldier's Focus stuff coming, isn't there?
Yes. So now when you get Soldier's Focus, I'm guessing that's what it means by activates, not using your burst.
Yeah.
When you get Soldier's Focus, you heal nearby allies.
That would best be a good heal. Sorry, I wanted to do the whole section before we comment, but I would say that'd best be a good heal because 15 seconds. Because if it only
happens every 15 seconds,
you can't control that. I like the name, by the way, Soldier's Comfort. Obviously, that's a Guild Wars 1 heal skill. So
yeah,
it best be good.
It best be good. I would say base 2,000 or something, and then like up to 3,000 because you can't control it. It's every 15 seconds. So yeah, not that.
Unless when they say Soldier's Focus activates, they mean when you burst to get might. So if it's
but even then, it's every 15 seconds.
Yeah, but now you can control it.
But then you can control it.
So
yeah,
now your burst skills are doing things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's at quickest every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then we got Roaring Reveille.
Have you said that right? As a man from Quebec, I would assume you know how to.
Well, I would say Roaring Reveille.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Let's do that. Okay.
Okay, Roaring Reveille. This new trait increases the number of targets for Warhorn from 5 to 10 like before, and causes Warhorn skills to grant an additional boon. Fury for charge and resistance for call to arms. There you go.
And 120 concentration.
And it does 120 concentration, exactly. That makes things interesting for Warhorns for sure.
Ooh, dude, AoE, resist, barrier, blast, condition, triple Condi cleanse on a 16-second cooldown on 10 targets on cooldown.
Yeah, but not even. Okay, it might not even be a 16-second cooldown, as I'll get to in a little bit.
Oh my God! Right, there's something I must not know about this patch, or I'm forgetting.
Yes. Okay, we're continuing though.
Wait. I did have a little comment as well. Leg specialist. So you can now AoE cripple into a mob, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So like blade trail on the greatsword, fling that out and just emob a ton of players. And so we get a DPS modifier in tactics. So that feels a bit, iffy, whatever, I guess. But it's kind of nice actually because now, like, in one line, you've got a DPS modifier on that first decision with, like, peak performance. In another line, you've got a DPS modifier with the warrior's sprint, right, with the 7% while you have swiftness. And now here you get a 7% when they have movement impairing. It's kind of nice how warrior has that breathes through all the lines now. That was what I was thinking there. Okay.
Okay. And then we got master traits. This one is quite interesting. I don't know how much I'd use it, but it's very interesting. Warrior's Cunning. This new trait increases damage by 25% against foes with health above 90%. So, like, heavy first hit kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. And?
Additionally, it increases damage by 50% against foes that have barrier. These bonuses do not stack.
Dude, I like... Okay, Warrior is already pretty rock, paper, scissors as like an anti-scrapper thing, right? Because scrappers can like struggle with stun breaks and stuff. You load a lot of stuff out. You can... the idea now that you could have like a tactics warrior that completely dominates, because scrappers are like, they do a tiny bit of damage, they have barrier. And then you're doing 50% more damage on everything. Always,
yeah, so like
basically.
you do, I don't know, like what's it called? Whirlwind attack or something on a guy with barrier, because he always has barrier, scrapper, even though it's like 200 barrier and you're doing 7 to 17,000 damage to him.
Yeah, I wonder as well, Boots, for raiding and stuff, and some areas of PvE, they have break bar mechanics now that don't invuln a mob. They just put tons of barrier on the mob, right? Does that barrier linger after the break bar goes away for a second? I guess it doesn't matter in that, actually. I guess it's completely irrelevant there. It will inflate you on the DPS meter, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I like that.
But, dude, the other part, the 25% on... Dude, kill shot warriors, right?
Yeah.
Literally... You cast you take Warhorn on one of your sets. You charge for a 25% modifier. You kill shot in. You've even got the 7% while they're crippled or whatever. So you gunflame, that applies cripple, right? It's like a little daze.
Oh my god, this is gonna be insane, yeah.
And you just gunflame the hell out of people. It's gonna be hilarious. I mean, hilarious for the first few days, and then it's gonna be horrendous.
25 times 2. Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, really nuts. So anyway, that was I was thinking of that.
Oh my god. Okay. Then we got Shrug It Off. This trait has moved and its icon has been updated. Wait a second. Shrug It Off. This trait has moved. It's been moved from the top of the master tier to the middle of the master tier.
I guess, yeah. I mean, they did that with Tempest too. I think that the position of them in the line makes sense.
Sure. I like aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, so the middle line is the support one, and the top one.
Yeah. Okay. In addition to previous effects, it also causes the warrior to heal allies when removing damaging conditions from them. That's great. That's very important. I like that.
Okay.
That could be very good supporty. Very good supporty, especially with the Warhorn.
Like, this is the big one to me, really, Boots.
Yeah, it makes or breaks a support warrior depending on how much the heal is.
Yeah, how much will the heal be there? But holy damn. You actually can get a build with triple Shake It Off, all right? Because you've got the passive Shake It Off. Then you can double cast the ammunition base Shake It Off. Each of those is 5 Condi Cleanse. You've got insane Condi Cleanse on the Warhorn too. Condi Cleanse isn't a really important thing to have on a support.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're still kind of one dead weapon set though, a lot of the time, right? Because you got your Warhorn weapon set, cool, with the resistance and the barrier and all that.
So already shouts were borderline usable with vigorous shouts, right?
I don't know whether I agree with that. It depends on your format.
Depends on who you are and what you run anyway.
Yeah.
But so now these huge buffs, especially since you consider there's 2 runes you could run with shouts, which is the soldier, I guess, or warrior,
extra cleanse on trooper runes or soldier
cleanse. Yes, on the trooper rune, extra cleanse. So that's additional heals on the Shrug It Off, because you're going to be removing conditions from all your allies and doing additional heals on them.
Yeah.
Or you could do the Reaper runes where it's chill on shout, which is just kind of fun.
Yeah. I don't think Reaper runes is much, but yeah, great point with the trooper rune combo as well.
Yeah.
Great point.
And then now we got Empower Allies. In addition to its previous effects, this trait also increases the radius of soldiers' focus to 600, adding a missing number of skill targets fact. Okay.
So, like the bottom line is might, right?
Yeah.
So then the bottom line for the miner, the mystery trait, Mending Might, maybe that gives us a bit more understanding on it.
Maybe, but no, it's like the marching orders thing, right? Like the marching orders grants 3 stacks of might for 15 seconds to allies within range of 300 for your soldier's focus when you expend it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. Might is a big part of tactics, obviously.
Yeah, we really, anyway. Finally, Grandmaster traits. Martial Cadence, this is interesting. The new trait causes Soldier's Focus to reduce the warrior's equipped skill cooldowns by 3 seconds.
Oh, so here we are.
Uh-huh.
Right, so you could spam Warhorn stuff even more, or anything. This is wild, dude.
Yeah. Now the question is, does it reduce it by 3 seconds as soon as you get Soldier's Focus? Or is it when you expend it? Or is it like while you have Soldier's Focus? Like, when you get Soldier's Focus, does it immediately reduce the cooldowns by 3 seconds? Or is it only while you're on Soldier's Focus? Are all your cooldowns lowered?
I'm obsessed with this Gunflame idea as well, because is that going to affect your F skills too? It says weapon skills, but what's a burst? A burst? That's kind of a weapon skill, right?
I think it's a burst skill.
You don't think what? Because if that was, you could this would refresh.
Because it is from a weapon, you're right. So maybe it is.
I don't know. But warrior weapon skills tend to be pretty low cooldown anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess no, because this is a tactics line, right? So you can use it with Berserker, which reduces the cooldown of your burst skills a ridiculous amount when you're in Berserker stance, right?
Right.
So if they're reduced by 3 seconds in addition to your Berserker stance down to 3 seconds, what is the cooldown? 0?
Yeah, it would just come back, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea here as well. The question, I'm going to go with the assumption that all this stuff procs when you burst, right?
I'm going to go with the assumption that it happens when you get the Soldier's Focus on the 15 seconds.
I think that's so sloppy. If it's when you get Soldier's Focus, I think that's really bad. But if it's when you burst, there's a lot of control there. There's a lot of fun.
There's control,
and you've got that. I just keep thinking about longbow. I want longbow to be good, right? One of the cool things about longbow burst is that you could proc stuff very comfortably with it because it was very different to the other bursts. You know what?
I'm gonna say you're probably right. It's when because when up at the top it says the tactics line has been reworked. Blah blah blah. Several traits revolve around Soldier's Focus. which grants bonuses when executing bursts. So it says nothing about it granting bonuses when you don't execute bursts. So
and it's plural as well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're counting the 3 separate might stacks as 3 separate bonuses. They're probably talking about the other stuff. Good point.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, next one.
Vigorous Shouts no longer grants Adrenaline when using Shouts. That's fine. Instead, it grants healing power equal to 13% of power.
Now, I haven't played a Shout build for a long time, but I used to like the Adrenaline on the Shouts a lot.
Yeah, they're good.
To me, I'm not actually that keen on this. That's all
13% of power is pretty high, though. That's a lot of healing power.
So, Vigorous Shouts, it will have its old effects, I presume, right? So,
yes.
Shouts recharge quicker, heal allies, and the new thing, right? Which is
13% of power, healing power. So, like, you'll probably have an additional 250 to 300 healing power.
Right. Which, by the way, we lost from Inspiring Presence, kind of. Right? The old Might gives healing power thing. So, I don't know. I kind of want a little bit more. But, I mean, fine. It's fair.
Yeah. And then Phalanx Strength is still here, but the Might is increased to 5 seconds from 4 seconds. Well, it used to be 6, I think, but now they've gone back up a little bit.
All right, so they found the middle ground. I'm fine with that. I don't view that as the devs flailing around or anything. I view that as just, the way it goes. Okay, good. So, that's about it there then.
That's huge, though. That's, like, crazy.
That is really cool. I'm very excited to see how Tactics goes. I can see some damagey, interesting ideas. I can see some supporty, interesting ideas there. So, pretty good. Okay, right. I guess I'll go next. Let's talk a little bit about Mesmer. A lot of this is pretty cut and dry, Boots. I'm not going to be talking for very long.
Okay, good.
Chaotic Interruption. The disabled trait is now coming back.
Hey!
So, it's been reworked as a trait that offers a dynamic and skillful form of play by giving savvy...
I like how they tell you it is. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm cynical. I don't think it's dynamic and skillful. Listen to what they've done.
Okay.
By giving savvy players a means to use their ability to recharge weapon skills.
Ooh.
Is it savvy play or is it just doing things you were going to do anyway, Boots?
Let's see. Any player. Okay.
Some Chronomancer tweaks are also in to offer another means of granting group quickness and to clean up some functional redundancy between delayed reactions and lost time.
Okay.
So, the Illusion of Life change, I talked about a little bit in another section, but maybe you've hit the timestamp and you've arrived here. So, they have done a very minor nerf to Illusion of Life. They have reduced the amount of time a resurrected ally is invulnerable from 5 seconds to 1 second. And the skill should now more effectively target in group situations. I'm not sure what that second bit's about. Maybe it was more relevant in World vs. World. So, I call this a minor nerf. In World vs. World, this is probably a bigger nerf because, there's just so much constant. As far as PvP is concerned, the only other place where this is really relevant, most people get rezzed and instantly kite anyway. They instantly double dodge and pop defense while they were invulnerable anyway. And as many videos as I've made and as much commentary as I've done over the years, please don't do this, please don't do this, you're invulnerable, be aggressive. As much as I've done that, it's not happened. So, to me, this doesn't actually mean that much. They had a proposed nerf before that was actually way more significant. What this does mean, though, is you only have 1 second to cleanse all the condi you built up while you were getting bombed from downstate. So, maybe it'll be a bit of a nerf there. But yeah, I'm still happy with the change. I think it's a good change because, frankly, it's really uninteractive, lame gameplay the way it's currently implemented, and this fixes that. There's kind of 2 issues with Illusion of Life. One is the interaction possibilities and whether it's fun. The other side is it overpowered? All right, now we've dealt with one question. The future can deal with the other. So there you go.
That's future WP's problem.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So then the mantras, they talked about this on previews. Power Break. So this is from Mantra of Pain, just splash damage out. Now requires you to actually face the target and actually have line of sight. Cool. Brilliant. It's just like that Elementalist fresh air thing. People get annoyed at just spam a button and kill even though you don't see the guy. Well, look, they've done that. And I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if in future balance they actually nerf Air Attunement Scepter 2. And maybe even Static Discharge. That would be a huge nerf to that playstyle, but would also allow them to bump up its strength so that skillful players are working with it well, unskillful players who don't about face and stuff aren't. I think that would be really healthy for that side of the game. Anyway, and Power Lock, the Days one, is the same. You have to face them. You have to see them. So this is very good. I like both of these. Next, you got Chaos Storm. Chaos Storm currently randomly dazes in the area.
Right.
And sometimes that can make or break a fight. In PvE, I don't really think that this upcoming change matters much, by the way. A lot of these don't matter much in PvE. Now, it's only 1 daze for the entire skill, but it's guaranteed at the start.
Okay.
It's guaranteed.
Right.
So I actually think that Chaos Storm is buffed as of this patch. It's also true for Lesser Chaos Storm, so now I can heal to guaranteed daze you.
That's interesting.
Instantly. So yeah, I think it is buffed, and I'm looking forward to holding this cooldown now for watching for a heal skill or something. I think there's a lot more control there, so I'm happy. I really am. This is a swing away from the spammy, and rewarding for the people who are a little bit more careful with what they're doing. So that's the way the game should be. Moving on to Chaotic Interruption. It's reworked. When interrupting a foe, Chaotic Interruption now recharges one of your currently recharging equipped skills, weapon skills, by 5 seconds.
Huh.
And this can only happen once every second. You can't, throw out diversion.
So randomly.
Basically, yeah. Okay, so you could create 3 clones and then divert, and they trail in, and it goes daze, daze, daze. And if you go interrupt, interrupt, interrupt in really short succession like that,
it'll just
the GM will only work once, right? So I view that mostly to do with diversion. But if you're spacing them out, a magic bullet, wait a bit, diversion, wait a bit, chaos storm, wait a bit, domination, wait a bit.
And it's 1 second internal cooldown. This sounds really strong.
Well, Boots, say your piece. You think it's strong? How so?
Well, there is a lot of interrupt on
I
Mesmer.
agree. Yeah, there is. There definitely is.
And that means
5 seconds as well. That's huge, isn't it? Really? 5 seconds.
And it's also one of your currently recharging equipped weapon skills. So you can just only use one very powerful weapon skill if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And then have your Mirage, your Sword Mirage, all your Sword Mirage clones go in and interrupt your foe on a what's it called? On a
Infinite Horizon.
Ambush. Infinite. You just continuously ambush the guy and continuously cast one ridiculously powerful skill.
Yeah, and also, like you just said, is the currently recharging skills. So your auto attack will never tamper with it.
Exactly.
So you always have a 1 in 4 chance, always. And if you think about the skill 2 on most weapon sets, Scepter 2, Axe 2. Axe 2 is an ammo skill, right? So I'm assuming that that's not going to proc. Phase Retreat, they're all fast recharging. So really, it's going to be hitting the big skills a lot. And also remember this, Boots. There's already a dueling GM, which is no, it's not a dueling GM. Sorry, it's a dueling adept. But it's whenever you interrupt on a pistol, it recharges the pistol skills quicker. You already have that. Yeah. And one of the pistol skills is a bouncing interrupt skill. So you magic bullet, and if you get an interrupt, if you're on both of these traits, it goes down. So it sounds very strong, doesn't it?
It sounds ridiculously strong, yeah.
To me, my counter argument is I actually think
the original skill was stronger?
Well, yeah, definitely. But the other side, that's fine though. It needed a nerf. The thing to me though is that it could proc on something that's gonna recharge anyway in 2 seconds, so you've lost a lot of value.
Fine, but not if you're playing something specifically for it.
Yeah, but I don't really believe in that. I think that's a bit gimmicky. We'll see what you can come up with. Maybe there's a really fun variant with that, and I'll believe it. But I think that the general flow of Mesmer, which is exhaust cooldowns, weapon swap, exhaust cooldowns, weapon swap, I don't think that this new GM, impacts that well enough. I mean, it might be really, really, really potent, and especially with a new on-demand Chaos Storm. So if you get the interrupt with the Chaos Storm's a high cooldown. It's immediately coming back quicker. But will it be significant enough that you're actually lingering in a weapon set to take advantage or whatever? I guess we'll see. So yeah, I don't think it's over the top personally. But yeah, so there you have it.
Okay.
Next.
All right, it's very interesting.
Okay, so we got 3 changes for Chrono here. First of all, delayed reactions. This is the one that when you interrupt someone, you give yourself alacrity and them slow. Well, they've taken the alacrity away. You don't get that anymore. But it doesn't rely on interrupts. You can just spam slow out like hardcore. just by landing any kind of interrupt mechanism. And also, the ICD is now AoE. So I guess when we drop our Chaos Storm boots, we can...
Yeah, you get the automatic thing.
It's 5 slow on every, it's AoE slow guaranteed when you drop a Chaos Storm.
Wow, okay.
Or like Shield 5 is guaranteed slow. Slow is actually a really oppressive condition. And I'm thinking about it with just a slow. It's, it could be interesting to see how much. And obviously that helps you with uptime on... Don't we have another trait on Chrono? Yeah, Danger Time. Gain additional crit chance against slowed people. And crits do increase damage against slowed people. Well, now you've got lots of slow there. So I think it's way more accessible now. Even in places like PvE, where now you're not reliant on these slow enemy animations and stuff.
And no like boon buffer guys were relying on that alacrity anyway, right?
I don't know really. I don't know. For the PvE formats, I'm guessing not, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing not. Next we have Lost Time. So this is the Grandmaster that currently is, all right, because it's being reworked. Currently, it's when you disable someone, you do an extra packet of damage, the Lost Time hit, and you, if you crit with it, it hits really hard, okay? And you slow, all right? So you throw a CC out, you slow. Well, that's kind of what the new delayed reactions is going to be doing all the time, right? So they've changed it. They just say, look, it grants 3 seconds of alacrity to the Mesmer whenever you apply slow on a 3-second cooldown. So what this is, Boots, this combos... with the delayed reactions we saw earlier.
So it's kind of like the alacrity isn't moving away as long as you're also taking the straight.
Yeah, basically it's like you can still do the current delayed reactions for alacrity, but you have to you're locked into the Grandmaster too. I actually really like that. The flow of the top line there is really cool.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like spam slow everywhere. Spamming slow spams alacrity on you, and you get all these other buffs. That top Chrono, that sounds nasty, man.
Do you think it would be better if it was giving alacrity to the allies as well?
For the other formats, I mean, if you're a Chrono, you've already got AoE alacrity builds available. Then
yeah.
Obviously, what were you asking me? Would it be better if it was better? I mean, yeah, it would be stronger. Yeah, but I like the idea.
Would it be better if it was better? I don't know, man.
No, I know what you mean. Would the design be better, right? It would be stronger, obviously, but would it? I like the idea here that we have a more selfish idea up the top.
Okay.
Dude, I even like the idea of going top, bottom, top, so that you get stronger alacrity that you're spamming yourself with constantly because you are constantly CCing and stuff. Oh, man, this is going to be cool. I thought this was really minor when I looked at this before, but now I'm really on board with it, Boots.
No, it's actually Grandmaster.
Okay, and then the other Grandmaster, the Quickness Grandmaster, is also changing. So to be clear, right now, it's whenever you shatter, gain quickness. Well, now that's AoE quickness. This trait is now AoE quickness and can hit 5 targets, including yourself, whenever you do a little shatter.
I like it.
So that's another one. Every patch, there's a little thing where it's like, okay, this is clearly like a raid-oriented, like, how is Chrono doing? What's the flow of getting perma alacrity and perma quickness out? Well, there you go. You're now AoE on this as well. So there you have it.
Seize the moment.
Yeah. Big buffs. Big buffs.
Big buffs. Okay, so it's my turn.
It is your turn. Let's hear it. What are we going to go to, Boots?
We are going to do something easy and fast. Engineer.
Ooh, okay. Engineer. I've been playing a bit of Engineer recently.
Really? Okay, so maybe you should tell me what I'm getting wrong. So let's continue, though. When the Scrapper's Profession ability was changed to an F5 skill, the Tool Belt skill from Sneak Gyro, Detection Pulse, was replaced. That skill was sorely missed as it provided useful and skilled counterplay if well timed. As the Profession mechanic needed to remain on the F5 skill, we looked elsewhere and saw that Purge Gyro, an inherently defensive and utility-centric ability, had a Tool Belt skill that did not fit its intent. Scrapper is also getting a bit of a tune-up with its hammer skills and reduction to the vitality loss of the Impact Savant trait, which was leaving them a bit squishier than we intended for a bruiser style of play.
Dude.
Okay, yeah.
This detection pulse thing, obviously we'll see the specific changes in a second, but I find this really funny. There was a ridiculous Reddit thread with massive amounts of upvotes a couple of weeks ago when they did a preview of this, where they're like, oh, but the poison field. Like, guys, currently in-game, there is a pathetic, Tool Belt skill that drops a wimpy-ass, stupid little poison field, right? It is the...
But it's the only place I get poison.
No,
I don't have...
It's a copy.
I don't have pistols. I don't know what to do.
It's a copy paste of Mortar 2, Boots. It's a copy paste of Mortar 2. It's like
what if you don't want to use motor? What
please, cry me a river. It's so much better to have it be an actual skill. Also, Purge Gyro, like with the antitoxin change and stuff, and some of the changes with Condi here, people are on Purge Gyro. So this is more meaningful world versus world reveal. So I
truly, I have no problem with this. My only issue is that I feel that even though it might have not been as intent because it was more defensive and utility centric as a Purge Gyro, it was very good lore flavor.
It was good lore flavor.
Because the Purge Gyro sucked up all the conditions and then spat it back out again.
Yeah, you vent it at your feet. And some people will say, oh, I could have combo finished in it for weakness, and so therefore it was still utility and defense. It was a boring skill, guys.
I would really appreciate if you stopped copying my voice like that.
So we got it back. The detection pulse, and I'm happy with this. Also, this is good balance. All right, I defy anyone to tell me this is bad balance. They realized that creating a burst window against the Scrapple was fun, and one of the big things about countering its tankiness as a bruiser. So they have its trade-off become a vitality loss. They realize they go too far, and they split the difference in a following patch. So we've bumped up a bit. Good. That's good balance, all right? That's not good balance. Them wobbling around. That's them realize that's finding the middle ground. It's good design. I like it.
Mm-hmm. So now, what about this? What if Purge Gyro's detection pulse did the detection pulse? Because, well, if I go down here in the actual notes, the detection pulse is going from... Oh, wait, holy shit. Okay, it's going from 1200 range to 900. I thought it was going down to 600. I guess my whole spiel about everything getting... standardized was wrong.
Well, okay. It's okay though, Boots, because detection pulse is just there for the reveal. All these other things, like they do other stuff,
Right, but what I'm saying is this. I think detection pulse will go down to 600 and also spit out a little bit of poison cloud.
It should be both, so you get the lore in there as well.
Exactly.
I see. Maybe they could do that. Maybe they could.
They should. They will.
What would you call it at that point, though? Would it be the detection pulse, or would it still be...
It would be called detection fart.
Detection fart. All right, well, okay, so let's see the actual notes now then, shall we? Let's go through it.
All right, so we got a bunch of hammer buffs. Equalizing blow, electro whirl, increased damage by 9%, rocket charge 10%, shock shield, reduced the recharge from 20 seconds to 18 seconds, and thunderclap, increased damage by 6% and reduced the recharge from 24 to 20 seconds.
These are all really big. Don't forget the Scrapper should be doing damage to exchange for barrier for its brute. So
yeah,
a buff on hammer stuff is more. I love this. I really do. I think the hammer was just slightly below the bar and they push it up a bit. I was so happy to see this whole chunk.
It should be pretty strong, yeah.
That's significant cooldown changes too, really. 24 to 20, it's good.
Yeah, what is that? 10% reduction for both?
Because Thunderclap is like this 20%. Big lingering field, so the more the uptime goes up. Also, it's NG, right? It's Scrapper, so a lot of other classes have weapon skill things, right? Where they're cooldowns, where it kind of doesn't matter if a couple of seconds change, because if you're locked in the other weapon set anyway, a lot of the time it's not realistic. But on Scrapper, you can always be on hammer exactly when you want. You can always, every second of recharge is relevant, So yeah.
So then for Hollow, we got Corona Burst, reduce the might gained in World vs. World to the same amount as in PvP, and reduce the damage of the skill by 20% in PvP and World vs. World. And then Holographic Shockwave, reduce the range to 300 from 600.
I love this. This is one of my favorite changes, Boots. What do you think about that?
That's pretty good. It was a big shockwave.
Yeah, and it was getting all these accidental CCs and stuff out. It was Hollow will still dominate and be very, very good, but I love this. This is something I've been asking for a long time, and I'm so happy to see it change. I'm so happy, dude. I'm thrilled.
And then Function Gyro, increased damage by 100%, increased land radius to 360 and underwater. Added clarification to the skill description to clarify that function gyros are destroyed when their skill is interrupted. Reduce recharge from 30 to 25 seconds. So a big old buff over all around for this.
I'm confused though, Boots. When does function gyro do damage though? Is there one of the traits that gives it damage? I can't remember it doing damage.
Maybe when it lands.
Does it do damage when it lands?
I'm not sure. Let's look it up.
I haven't really played with it. Well, I'm on screen so that people can see right now. Function. Oh, it does do damage on landing. Oh man, I kind of want to kill people with function gyros now. I want to make a silly build where you like get the last hit with a function gyro.
Last hit with a function gyro, and then it starts finishing.
Wait, they're doubling the damage too.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a
Is it
meaty
a lot of
hit.
damage right now?
It's reading 426, so it will be up to 800 pre-crit.
That's not bad.
When you're nearing that 1000 level, it's a hit. It's a chunk.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
Oh, all right. And then Shape Charge. This trait now increases damage by 0.5% per stack of vulnerability instead of by 10%.
Okay.
So it goes up to 12.5 now. Solar Focusing Lens. This one's interesting. This trait now also grants 2 stacks of Afterburner when deactivating Photon Forge. So basically doubling the fire that this thing gives out.
Right.
It also increases the stacks granted from overheating from 5 to 6.
I'm not sure if we'll really see Condi Hollow be born from this, but...
Maybe not.
It's
but,
damage as
I mean,
well,
it's
isn't
doubling the trait, so...
Afterburner is damage too, isn't it?
It's 2 stacks of burn.
And it's extra damage, right? Your first few attacks after entering Forge inflict burning and do additional damage.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So just every time you leave Forge, you do bigger hits.
Chemical Field. This trait has been replaced by Detection Pulse and the tool skill belt skill for Purge Gyro.
Mm-hmm.
Detection Bolt replaces Purge Gyro's previous tool belt skill. Chemical Field radius has been reduced from 1200 to 900. Target has been improved for large group settings. And Purge Gyro, the tool belt skill. I just like how they use 3 different
points.
3 different points to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Sneak Gyro increased the cooldown of the skill from 45 to 60 seconds in World vs. World.
I agree with that. It's such a big stealth tool.
Yeah, agreed. This one's interesting. Medkit can be used underwater now.
I've had people asking for that for so long. They've been like, oh, why isn't Medkit underwater? Why is
because it'll get wet and then all the bandages will kind of like just get all moldy.
Isn't it a lot more gun-oriented now? Don't you shoot people and stuff?
Yeah, it's true. Med Blaster for Medkit, increase healing to match the tooltip. Nice. Cleansing Field, fixed above the cause to blah, blah, blah. Remove more conditions than intended.
By the way, that Med Blaster thing, that's the auto, which is really important.
Yeah.
I don't know how big of a buff that is, but this
it's a decent buff, because I remember looking at the tooltip and seeing that, this is going to heal a lot, but then
it heals more the more boons they have too, right?
Yes, but it kept on looking underwhelming when actually using it compared to what the tooltip said. Yeah,
I never played with it that much, but it seems cool. And that means World versus World, you lose the antitoxin and stuff, but your autos are doing a bit more, I guess, on the med pack. That's cool.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of bugs that were fixed. And then we go to health insurance. Updated description and tooltips to accurately affect the functionality.
Oh, wait, Boots. The Elixir U could give endurance. I kept seeing that recently.
It fixed a bug that could cause it to give endurance. Now it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. I was getting endurance from Elixir U when I was learning Hollow recently. And
you were exploiting the game.
Yeah, I was like, why am I getting that? What is the trait? And I just thought I hadn't thought of some trait or something. But I was totally getting that regularly. So that's actually a Hollow nerf.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, kinda.
I don't know how regular it was, but I was definitely enjoying the benefit of increased endurance from that.
Okay.
You got to think when you're a Hollow and you're playing some of the meta builds that dodging to vent heat is so important. The more endurance is the more forge up time and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway. Okay. Yeah.
Bunch of bug fixes still. Mass Momentum increased stability duration from 3 to 5 seconds.
Okay.
And I think that's the stability when you cast your something or other.
Your gyro.
Gyro, yeah. And Impact Savant reduce the vitality loss. Here we go. Reduce the vitality loss from this trait from 300 to 180.
So they halved it. They split the difference. Well, not
half,
300 is almost half.
Yeah. But yeah, that's great because you get a lot of barrier from this.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it's good. I think that'll be a good middle ground. I think we'll see more scrappers, especially with the hammer buffs that they talked about. By the way, Boots, there was one of those bugs as well I think was important too. The supply crate bug fix that the heal turret wouldn't overcharge.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. An overcharge
that is
heal
huge.
turret
You're right.
is massive. I don't know how... I mean, I'm casting it in-game right now. And my heal turret is not overcharging. It's not. I don't know how regularly.
It's a normal thing.
So, but yeah, if that was always happening, then that's a big buff for supply crate, which I like because I like supply.
It's true. And so that is NG. Some interesting stuff, but altogether not game-changing, I want to say.
I think it's going to be healthy. I think this is healthy for PvE. I think it's healthy for
it's good. Well. It's good changes.
Yeah. I'm very excited about the Scrapper side stuff. And the Hollow, the radius on the Hollow 5. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, so it's me next. I'll give you the choice, Boots. Do you want to hear about Ranger or Necromancer?
Necromancer.
Okay, why is that? Are you interested in death magic?
Because you kept on talking about some big change, and I want to hear about it.
Okay, all right, we will go Necromancer. And what we're going to look at here, guys, is a big death magic change, but also Scourge changes too. So let's see what the devs say. The death magic specialization has had a significant rework this update, revolving around a new effect and various means of gaining additional defense while bringing together a more cohesive set of playstyles. The Scourge Elite specialization has also undergone a significant change, such that its shade skills will only fire around the Necromancer when the Necromancer does not also have a shade up. If they do have a shade present, then those skills will happen around their summoned sand shades. Alongside this change, the Scourge and each sand shade now affect an increased number of targets by default, which can be further increased through the use of Sand Savant. This change leans into the dependence a Scourge has on their unique elite specialization mechanic, shades, and opens up the specialization to future potential improvements across its kit.
That's so interesting. Okay, I like that a lot.
This change...
It's a nerf, but I like it.
Yeah, and they're basically saying, but look, the playstyle will open up more buffs. This change creates a choice between whether Scourges expose themselves to some melee risk, but charge in to affect foes around them, or whether they hang back and summon a shade near their foe and are unable to affect themselves with shade abilities.
Unless they go next to their shade.
Yes, because they can, exactly. Unless they also place one on their own location too. That's another thing you could do.
Yeah.
You could have a shade out on your target and you're hiding on a ledge and you shade on you as well, and now it's kind of like no change happened, but you have had to spend that extra shade.
But you wouldn't have you don't have double effects. Well, would you have? I forget. You
no, it didn't double
effects?
Up anyway.
No, you wouldn't.
Right when Path of Fire came out, it was, but they quickly changed.
It changed, yeah. Okay.
This, we'll be keeping a close eye on the results of this change and making adjustments accordingly. So I just want to translate that for the layperson. Basically now, if I have no shades, my F abilities are casting on me. If I do have a shade, all my F abilities are only on the shade. It's not like the Mesmer Illusionary Persona thing, where when I cast a shade skill, it pulses over there and on me. It's only one or the other now, okay? And so the Grandmaster now, so you now affect way more targets, but that's the thing. So the most significant thing about this to me, Boots, is not instant access to Desert Shroud anymore. If I have a shade up and I Desert Shroud, do I still barrier myself? That's my big question. I guess I do still, but I won't pulse stuff around me.
I don't know. Like, it's barrier around you to begin with, right?
Well, Desert Shroud is weird because it's not an AoE mechanic. Desert Shroud is two things at once. One is it's pulsing...
You're right. You gain a powerful barrier and you pulse
and separately, yeah, it's like two skills in one set. So what's going to happen when I have a shade out far away from me?
As opposed to F3 Sand Cascade, which gives barrier to all the people around the shades.
They're different. Desert Shroud was never AoE with that solo barrier. So basically, what I'm just wondering is if when I have a shade out and I press F5, which is really important... I think
you will still get a barrier, but you won't pulse stuff around yourself.
Yeah, the pulsing. I hope that's the way it works, Boots, because that's very crucial. If that is not a certain way, then this is a much bigger nerf than you might expect, right? Scourge. Shade's skills no longer affect the area around the Scourge while they have a shade already present in the world. But we have increased the number of targets affected by shade skills from 3 to 5. So you can always hit 5 now. Or if you have none, you're hitting 5 around you. Manifest Sand Shade. The duration of shades in World vs. World and PvP has been increased from 10 to 15. So now this is really weird, Boots. Because that's a juicy buff. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. But also, you're really committing to it now. If you put a shade out, you're like, I have to be on my shade to feel, to get my to get... If I want the Shades benefits, like the Shades barrier and all the other things, I have to be on it because I've committed for 15 seconds now. The devs could have just as easily reduced Shade duration and count recharge to make the Scourge feel like they're in more control, but they went the other direction, you know?
What is the count recharge right now?
It's 15, I think. Oh, it's 10, sorry. It's 10. So, wait, can we now maintain more Shades out?
Yeah, it sounds... Well, no, I think there's always a max of 3.
Oh, yeah, there is. You're right, there is. The UI shows a max of 3. Yeah, you get the 3 little diamonds. Yeah. But, you know, you can now have those 3 in more strategic locations for longer and stuff.
Yeah.
I really like the kind of totem-y kind of play style that Scourge is playing with, and having longer durations is kind of fun. So more targets lasting longer. Then also, what else do they have? I guess that's it. That's all they have for the Shade stuff specifically. Moving on to another change.
I think they're going to change more as we go along later on.
Yeah. Moving on to another one. For minions, and don't forget Death Magic, we'll be talking about in a second, they fixed a bug that could allow minions to persist after the skill is unequipped. I think that had something to do with... I can't remember what that was. I did know this bug for a while. Anyway, Oppressive Collapse, the Torch 5, now needs line of sight. I'm so happy with this. I'm so happy. So this is actually a big change to me. A big part of being a decent Scourge is getting those cheesy-ass interrupts out, proccing them with a Sigil of Agility or whatever. For PvE, I don't think it will change much. And I know a lot of you guys are like, well, look, the lore, look at the animation. It's coming from underneath. You know, why do I need line of sight? Because I'm summoning this thing from underneath. I get it. But then there's other things in the game where it's like you're summoning a meteor over someone's head or whatnot. And they do need line of sight. You know, it's just about consistency of mechanics, right? So, yeah, need a line of sight. That's good. Feast of Corruption and Devouring Darkness, your Scepter 3s. Both of them hit 20% less on flat damage. And as far as World versus World is concerned, you corrupt 1 less boon, basically. In PvE, it's triple corrupt, and everywhere else now it's that. Also, they changed the queuing, I guess. It queues behind other skills instead of interrupting them. I don't know why the queuing was weird on that, but there you have it. That's actually kind of a nerf in a way. Getting the really quick on-demand Scepter 3 to hit a crucial stability and interrupt or something, that's big. That's actually big. Yeah. So now that it's queuing behind, it might, you know, you might not be able to save the day by interrupting a Mercy or something now. That's interesting. But there you go. Okay, so next we got a quick Reaper change. Greatsword 5, Grasping Darkness. Fix an issue that could cause the visual animation to pop out of existence before the skill completed. Also removed missing legendary projectile effects from the skill due to it not being a projectile. Except it kind of is a projectile, ArenaNet. We all know this thing like used to get disabled by swirling winds and stuff. It might even still. But, yeah. I didn't realize that legendary projectiles changed that. What did that look like with a Twilight then? It's because I've never had legendary greatswords. I've never had legendary greatswords, so I don't know.
Time to make one.
How did it look with Exordium? I actually got Eternity very recently, Boots. Very recently. Monster.
Try it out.
All right, so next we have Blood Bond. Now, this is a huge change. It's an obscure thing, but it is massive. It's actually a big nerf to one of the most standard, Necro builds out at the moment, I think, personally. So here's what it says. It says, fixed a bug that caused this trait to heal the Necromancer when it activated. So essentially what's happening here is if you're the kind of player that just follows a meta battle build, you will have seen on Blood Magic, people nearly always recommend, especially on a Blood Scourge or something, to take Blood Bond. And Blood Bond's okay, you know, if you look at the tooltip. But, you know, it's against the very impressive, Ritual of Life, particularly, right? With all the res potential when you get on a body, right? So why are people recommending Blood Bond? Well, Blood Bond is kind of bugged and has been for a while. The idea is you stack a couple of bleeds on, and then it will cast your heal skill as though you've just activated the heal skill and you've stacked on a ton of...
So it wasn't doing lesser Signet of Vampirism, it was doing the full Signet of Vampirism.
Yeah, so what the tooltip is saying is this is just going to give you a bit of free life siphon over the next few attacks, that's it. But the way it was coded is it wasn't just doing the lesser Signet, it was giving you the full-on, regular Signet as though you'd activated a heal skill.
But with only 5 or 6 stacks instead of 25 stacks.
Yeah. But that flat, massive heal of 5,000.
3,000.
Which is crazy, especially if you're running a Sage Amulet or something and you're buffing it up even further. Why would they put a second heal skill for you on just a 20-second cooldown on an Adept slot? It's wild. It's a bug. So, and people have... It just means you just spam some Condi out and you get these epic heals resustaining you. Epic heals. That's now gone, guys, I'm afraid. It's now exactly what the tooltip says.
Well, good.
Which is good. I actually think it's a bit weak now, Boots, just especially compared to the Bloodwell.
Yeah, maybe they should reduce the cooldown of it.
Or more stacks. More stacks might be fun.
More stacks, maybe. Yeah, because... Hold on a second. So the thing is, with Signet of Vampirism to begin with, you put 25 stacks on somebody, and if you're the only person attacking it, you could only take 5 stacks off of it before the stacks go away.
Because the internal cooldown. Well, I like the idea of them changing the internal cooldown as well on both it and the main skill, so that you can use it a bit more. I mean, it's kind of a minion mancery thing in a way, Like, it's on the bottom line as well, which also has Vampiric Presence, which is life siphon to your allies, and more Enshroud, which you can use with minions and stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of like if you want to be a minion blood guy, you kind of go the bottom. But there you go. That's a big nerf, guys. That's a big change, and we'll see how it goes. We will.
A big bug fix.
Yeah, a big bug fix, but has real ramifications, I think. Some people are going to say I'm overstating the importance of Blood Bond, but I felt a night and day difference once I realized that was there and I started using that trait. A night and day difference.
So you were exploiting. Wow, I keep on hearing all these things you exploit.
It's the build. It's just the build. It's what people have been running for months. Maybe even up of a year. It's crazy. Anyway, Sand Savant. Increase the number of... So this is your Grandmaster that makes your shade bigger. Now it increases the targets affected from 2 to 5. So that it goes all the way up to 10 now. So when I first read this, I was really confused, Boots. I was like,
because it used to be 3 plus 2.
Yeah, and now it's 5
plus 5.
Yeah,
but it's extra confusing because before originally it was up to 10 as well.
Yeah. So basically, guys, very simply, without that Grandmaster trait, if you're small shade, you're hitting 5 targets. If you're big shade, you're hitting 10 targets. Okay.
Yeah, which is important because with the change that it doesn't affect you now when you have a shade out, like before, 5 targets for your shade, 5 targets for you made sense. That's 10 targets. But now that you don't actually have the effects out to people, it's your shade that does everything, so it needs the 10 targets.
Yeah, I agree. So they did on a preview suggest they were going to nerf the flat damage of some of the Necro stuff, I think. Some of the Scourge stuff. And I'm not sure that that's made it into the patch. But I do think that with the antitoxin change and then this target cap stuff, for World vs. World, we might be more Condi heavy again. We might be. I don't know. It's not really my place to say, but it's something to think about. And be excited about, I think, probably, right? Any kind of shake-up. Okay, and now, Boots, we end with the Death Magic rework. Are you ready?
Whoa. I am. I'm ready. Tell me.
Okay, so Death Magic all now revolves around a new effect called Death's Carapace. It's a bit like how, if you guys looked at the Warrior section on the timestamp, you will have seen, there's a new effect on there that stacks and stuff based on a minor.
Soldier's Resolve or something?
Yeah, and now we have a similar thing for Necro. So, it's important to note already with Death Magic, there is a trait that is every time you summon a minion, gain stacking toughness on yourself. It's called Flesh of the Master. This idea of stack toughness on yourself, that's like what Death Magic is all about now. They like that idea of Flesh of the Master, and it's everywhere. Okay, you ready? This trait line has been reworked. Many traits now revolve around Death's Carapace that increases toughness by 20 for each stack, up to a max of 30 stacks.
Oh, so 600 toughness?
600 toughness if you cap the new mechanic out.
That's a lot of toughness.
It's a lot of toughness. It's big. Death's Carapace stacks are applied for 10 seconds whenever you get them from any trait, except Flesh of the Master.
What does that mean?
Flesh of the Master is going to be permanent Death's Carapace as long as your minions are alive. Oh, right, because
the minions.
As long as your minions are alive, right. So Flesh of the Master has become...
And does that surpass the max stacks, or is it still at 30?
No, it's still at 30.
Okay.
So you'll be running around with minions, and you'll have like a permanent bedrock of however many minions you have, and then your other traits can build it up. Okay, so let's look at our new minors. These are always there. So Armored Shroud, this trait now gives 5 stacks of Death's Carapace when entering Shroud. Now that doesn't say in addition to its previous effects, by the way.
Oh, right, yeah, everything's changed now, so probably.
So it used to be just gain toughness while you were in Shroud. Now that's gone.
And that was 180? How much was that?
180, yeah, you're absolutely right.
So now it's 100.
Yeah, when entering Shroud. But you can keep it with you when you leave. You can just toggle in and out of Shroud, and you'll keep the Death's Carapace.
Well, it's 10 seconds, though, yeah.
Yeah, so you could toggle in and Soul Comprehension. In addition to its previous effects, okay, so its previous effects is that our passive life force from deaths is increased. So get more life force if things are dying. Very Guild Wars money mechanic. I actually think it's kind of fallen behind. But now it also gives death's carapace every time we participate in a kill.
Okay.
So this is going to be one of those things where if you can take it to the right area of PvE where there's tons of deaths, you'll just have the 30 stacks from that, in a way.
Yeah, you wouldn't need any other traits.
Yeah. I like it, though. And then next, you've got Beyond the Veil. So Beyond the Veil is completely different now. It now reduces condition damage by 10%, while the Necromancer has at least 10 death's carapace.
Beyond the Veil is Beyond the Pale. I don't know.
The old version of it is when you leave Shroud, you splash protection on yourself and your minions, but only for a little bit. And so, I lament the loss of that direct minion interaction. I lament the loss of that. But... I was
10% condition damage reduction. It's okay, I guess. Sure.
Yeah. You know what I wanted as I was reading this Boots the first time? Since I think of death magic as being the minion-y line, I want a trait that means your minions gain your death's carapace.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think that would need to be a trait, not a minor trait, though.
Yeah, definitely. Somewhere that you should be able to select for that. I would love that. I think that'd be so... Because there's that whole ramp snowball thing,
Yeah, clearly they're trying to not force people who want to go into death magic to take minions.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I want that selection there. Anyway, all right, so next we've got death magic is almost unique in Guild Wars 2 to me in how deeply I feel it should integrate with a utility class. Like most of the time they're like, all right, just have one trait that bumps the utility, that's it, But death magic has you can take a whole line that's just about that utility selection, It's really, really big on the minion interaction, and it's almost unique in that way. On no other profession do I feel that that's so tight. And I like it. I want them to go far with it, but maybe for consistency, they've always been scared. Anyway, all right, so now let's look at our selections. So first of all, the first three, you can go with Flesh of the Master, which is now, instead of granting armor for each minion, that was toughness, by the way, I think. Yeah. This trait now causes the Necromancer's minions to give them 2 Death's Carapace as long as the minions are alive.
Which is the same, I think, because it used to be 40 per minion, and now it's 2 times Death Carapace, which is still 40.
Yeah, okay, so it's the same, but it's, it's now been retooled to be Death's Carapace. Next, you've got Putrid Defense. This trait has changed positions, and its functionality is different. It now causes poison to deal 15% more damage, and grants Death's Carapace whenever you apply poison.
Ooh.
So you get a bit of Condi pressure on the line here. And there is actually some synergy with poison and death magic when we look at the Grandmasters, guys. So remember that. You can apply poison here as well.
Yeah, I'm liking this. Okay.
And then finally, the super tanky one, Shrouded Removal. In addition to its previous effects, which is... Okay, so this is either when you leave Shroud or just while in it. Shrouded Removal. While in Shroud, lose a condition every few seconds. Okay, that's what Shrouded Removal currently is. And in addition to that now, it also gives you 3 Death's Carapace whenever you cleanse yourself.
Huh. When a condition is removed. So if you remove multiple conditions, does it do 9?
Yeah, I would think so. It should do AoE, right? Multi-stacks. There's no ICD or anything.
Yeah, okay.
So I like this. You're a Necro. You got loads of ways to do that. You can, Dagger 4, Staff 4, Consume Conditions Heal. You could do tons of things on a Necro to get rid of conditions.
Yes, also Scourge as well.
So you're toughnessing the hell out of yourself. I really like... I think they've got an idea of a super tanky minion master who lets all of their minions do their damage. And the idea... Because there's that very raw idea of kill the master to eliminate his whole army at once. You are the hive mind. There was
death magic, bludge magic, something.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Moa, the minion monster, to destroy all his minions, or in Guild Wars 1, kill him to make them all masterless, stuff like that. So I think the devs like that idea. It's just, I view this update as getting that half of the picture done, and then the next half is the minions themselves, which don't actually have any real changes here, right? But there you go. Okay, so next we got Master. Necromantic Corruption is still exactly the same. You don't have to worry about that. Minions do more damage at 25%, and what they transfer conditions for you.
It's really strong.
Yeah, it's a very strong trait. Dark Defiance is also completely the same. So when you get disabled, you give yourself protection, and your condition damage incoming is reduced while you have protection. That's a fairly new one, by the way.
Yeah.
And then finally, Deadly Strength has been reworked. So currently in game, it's give yourself power based on your toughness, and then power.
Which I enjoyed thinking about, but never got to work really well.
Yeah, me too. I like the idea, but I've never got it to work. And it's double while you're in Shroud. So I like the idea of this on like a core Necro. You trigger that skill 4 or something, and then you just do tons of damage on a tanky kind of thing. But that sounds really fun to interact with Death Carapace, right? Well, they reworked it, and they kind of go with the idea. So now it's simply Death's Carapace is giving you 10 power per stack as well.
So up to 300 power.
Yeah, so 300 power on there. And then, I don't know, your might would take you higher and whatnot.
Was that 10 stacks of might? It's okay, I guess.
Yeah, so that's the idea. Finally, we've got the Grandmaster. So first there's Death Nova. They've updated the facts and description. So let's be clear about what Death Nova does. It means whenever your minion dies, or you yourself, there's that explosion. The way it's currently, and it's a double trait. It also means when things die near you, create jagged horrors automatically, right? It's the big minion one. But it's currently described as just creating a lesser poison cloud. Now, we know what a poison cloud is, Boots, right? It's just a lingering...
It's the thing that got removed from Purge Shadow.
Well, I get a big, strong one, you know, and it destroys projectiles to be in it. Well, that doesn't sound that fun. In Guild Wars 1, so that you guys know, there's a death magic skill. You would enchant a minion, and if it died with Death Nova on it, it would explode for big damage, like armor-ignoring damage. It was awesome. And now in Guild Wars 2, it's like, oh, create a little cloud, and now here's another little cloud, and they're not even that good, right? Lame. So as of this patch, they've reworked it to call it Poison Nova in order to indicate that it has a different behavior from the corrosive poison cloud. I didn't even realize this.
I want to say, no, because they always did explode.
Yeah, exactly. So let me be clear. It always has been an actual explosion, right? Yeah. In Guild Wars 2. It's referred to itself as a lesser cloud, which sounded lame.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, so they've updated. So I like that, all right, even if it's a superficial thing. Fixed an issue which caused this trait to use the minion stats instead of the necromancers. Now that's huge. That's massive. Huge. It's going to crit way more. It's going to have ferocity on it now. Do minions even have ferocity? It's going to have higher power. It's going to be augmented by might. It's going to be augmented by this Death Carapace. It's big. And in PvE, it's now 60% stronger.
Whoa, okay.
It's had a 60% buff in PvE. And then they fixed an interaction where it was behaving inconsistently. Death Nova, Boots. I'm loving it.
That sounds pretty good.
It sounds so good. I want to see the Zerk Death Nova. The only thing I'm sad about is it makes like that Minion Reaper build that's already so OP in PvE even stronger sounding. Dude, but your little jagged
just to let you know, so looking on the wiki right now, because it's using the minion's health, the minion stats, it's like 700 damage against a highly armored target.
Boo.
So it's 700, which is kind of low. It wouldn't crit, I'm guessing, because they don't really crit very often. But yeah, if you have your own and you're a power-based thing, that's pretty strong.
Dude, it's so good. It's going to be like, you know, the whole Phantasm Mesmer thing where you just stack tons of precision to make sure the Death Nova's crit and stuff.
Yeah. Do you start running those little the two jagged horror minions? Not jagged. What are they? Bone horrors? The ones that you could explode yourself?
Yeah. You could double cast it now, right?
Yeah.
Basically, when you summon your bone minions, just the standard ones, you blow it up and it's going to do the Death Nova. And its own explosion, but the Death Nova now actually counts for something.
That sounds pretty good.
The Putrid Explosion has a massive modifier on it too, by the way. Massive. It's 1,500, and you can click it twice. So you can like quad cast. You can quad these explosions. Also, by the way, Lich Form has the 4 unstable minions as well. The Summon Madness, the little volatile ones. They'll run in and they'll blow up. I'm very, very keen.
This is starting to get a little interesting. Okay.
It is. So, and they haven't even really touched the minions themselves. Next Grandmaster is Corruptor's Fervor, which has been reworked. So let's just look at the old one in-game very quickly. Inflicting a condition on a foe grants stacking toughness and reduced incoming condition damage. That's Corruptor's Fervor. It's going away now. Well, I like the idea of Corruptor's Fervor when Death's Carapace is there too.
Well, it's a minor trait now, essentially.
Yeah, kind of. I like the idea of having them both, though. I like to build where you stack Corruptor's Fervor and Death's Carapace, and you just become abominably tanky. Anyway, it's been reworked. It now gives you Death's Carapace when you apply conditions. Additionally, at 25 Death's Carapace stacks or above. So that's a lot of stacks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. What is it?
The Necro starts pulsing prot on themselves.
Oh. Well, but it's an infinite prot. 3 seconds for 3 seconds. Yeah, okay.
Infinite prot. Even if someone rips it, it's refreshing so quick.
So prot on top of an additional 500 toughness is not so bad.
No, it's very good, I think, right? Like, that's nice. And then Unholy Sanctuary hasn't changed, which I actually think is a super cool trait. This is while you're in Shroud, you regen health, and if they would kill you, you auto go into Shroud. You save yourself automatically. I like this trait. Even if it's on cooldown, so you can like be in Shroud, dip out, they think, I'll kill him now, and then you instantly return. You can combo that with like Spiteful Spirit and whatnot. It's a fun trait. Maybe could be a little bit stronger, but there you go. So that's the Death Magic.
That's interesting. I've always felt compelled to use Death Magic, but never really wanted to unless I had like a full-on minion build. So now this looks interesting.
Yeah. To be honest, Boots, without the Death Nova things, I'm actually not even that excited about a lot of this, just because it's kind of tanky oriented and it's sort of whatever to me a bit. But you know, it's new toys, right? It's new toys.
True, but like, I've always felt like Necros have been. They have their tankiness because they're pretty good at healing and they have a huge health pool, but they've never been really tanky because they're still kind of squishy in a lot of ways. But with this, maybe they could get real tankiness going on.
The question is as well, with the Blood Bond change in Blood Magic, maybe it's even more reason to sub. Anyway, you were using the Bloodline before, maybe you can justify the Death Line now, you know.
Well, why not just go both and go crazy tank?
Well, because there's not many... Well, you could, sure, you could. It depends where you want to play and how slow you want to play. And
do a cleric build.
Oh god. Okay.
Because you already have the highest health pool base, right? So you don't need vitality. You go cleric amulet or whatever, cleric stats, and you have crazy toughness and crazy healing.
Okay, so next, Boots, which class do you want to do? I think you got two left. You got Ranger and
Guardian.
You've got Thief.
No, you've got Ranger. I'm not taking Ranger.
You don't want Ranger. Okay. All right. You got Guardian or Thief. Which one do you want?
I'll go with Guardian because it's the first on my list.
Okay, cool. So Guardian. I can't remember what they're doing here. What were you in for?
We've got stuff for Firebrand. Here we go. For Firebrand prevalence in group content has been quite strong as they offer significant support options to the point that they were crowding out other builds. In particular, Tome of Courage had a bit more power than was healthy, so we've sought to tweak that down while retaining its overall playstyle by removing some of its boon generation. We're also reducing scepter damage and increasing sword damage in PvE to as the best melee damage option should not be a ranged weapon.
Oh, wait, what's this? We're reducing scepter damage. The best melee damage option shouldn't be a ranged weapon. I don't think they realize, though, that people kind of end up using Scepter as a melee thing, just because otherwise, you know, mobs will move out of the ring and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, okay, all right, so let's hear it. The sword buffs, I guess?
They didn't do that much craziness to it, though. So they have Orb of Wrath for the Scepter, reduce the damage by 10% in PvE only.
Was that it? That's the only thing they
That's
changed.
all they did to it.
I had someone on a YouTube comment saying that they'd killed Scepter, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no. He's like, are you going to update your open world build because they've destroyed Scepter, blah, blah? No, guys, it's still fine.
They reduced the auto attack by 10%. So, okay, sure. Then we got for Sword, Symbol of Blades. That's the Sword 2, the teleport. Remove the double strike that occurs when the symbol is first created and increase the damage of each strike by 20% to compensate overall damage is unchanged.
Right, okay. I didn't realize about the double strike thing. What do they mean?
So that's not really a buff, though. So they're not... Currently, they haven't buffed melee the sword damage, but let's continue. Mm-hmm. Zealot's Defense increased PvE damage by 20% on... So that is the Sword 3.
Sword 3 now hitting a lot harder in PvE.
Yeah, there's the buff. Okay. They already buffed that recently, didn't they? They like reduced the cast time of it or something?
Yeah, maybe they sped the animation up a bit. That's kind of like a half buff though, because also it's during the animation you deflect projectiles.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Okay, so then Sanctuary. Increase number of enemies that can be knocked back by the skill before it expires from 10 to 20. That should be for World vs. World. Decrease the duration from 6 to 5 seconds and decrease recharge from 75 to 60 seconds. Nice. I kind of like that change. I've always kind of wanted to use Sanctuary more often.
What do you think about the duration drop? Don't forget, it's a consecration, right? So you can trait consecrations to last longer if you're virtues.
Yep. Duration drop... I don't know. What do you think it was necessary? I don't think it was necessary.
Well,
but they decreased the recharge, so...
Yeah, I guess. Consecrations is the trait is both duration and recharge at once, right? So then this buff kind of goes on top of that too.
Okay, but then we got the Firebrand tomes. We got Tome of Resolve, Chapter 2, Radiant Recovery. The existing split of cleansing 2 conditions in PvP has been brought to World vs. World as well. And this continues to cleanse 3 conditions in PvE.
Right.
And then Tome of Courage got a couple of nerfs as well. Chapter 2, Daring Challenge. This now grants retaliation for 3 seconds instead of Aegis.
Right, okay, so we got a lot to talk about. First, okay. bit less cleanse. Again, that's that whole Condi balance in World vs. World. I think another reason, if you guys have watched the other bits of this episode and you check the other timestamps, you'll see there's lots of little things in there that sort of diminish, some of the counter to Condi. Over on this, basically, more retail. There's already so much retail around, especially if you're a Firebrand and you're on, like, the Mantra, right? The Mantra just spams loads out. So it's kind of a way for the devs to just completely remove that facet of the skill, turning the Aegis into retail, but there was already retail there, but shh about that bit, it's kind of like
pretty much, yeah. Because Aegis is very big.
I don't know this for sure, but I've heard that since Path of Fire and all the Aegis spam Firebrands can do with their F3 and their Mancha, it's made Zergs very turtly to the point that, like, outnumbered fights and stuff are a lot rarer now, a lot more tricky to deal with. So making Zergs more volatile in this way, I'm really happy about. It's kind of
me too, but I'm not so sure that, like, this one skill that has a cooldown in itself is taking the Aegis off of that is going to make that huge of a difference in World vs. World.
Well, Daring Challenge is it's a 3-second cooldown. The thing is, I've got to be honest here. Doesn't Daring Challenge require you to actually land the taunt to get the Aegis? Isn't that a thing? I want someone to break my Aegis and see. Here we go. So I have no Aegis. Wow, that guy blew up. So I get Aegis from hitting someone with it, and then if I try it outside... Oh, no, you always get Aegis. You do always get the Aegis. Yeah, so this is a good nerf, man, I think. That's Aegis spam every 3 seconds, AoE Aegis spam.
Yeah, 4 seconds, though, right?
Is it 4-second cooldown? I can't see. I just lost the time. Anyway, so yeah, that's nice. They were talking about getting rid of it on the 5 as well. Did that end up going through? Let's have a look.
Epilogue, Unbroken Lines on Courage. We've got the skill no longer grants retaliation. The existing split of a 15-second cooldown PvP has been brought to World vs. World as well, and it retains the 12-second cooldown PvE. So no, doesn't look like it.
Okay, all right. So you still get a bit, but there's not that weird clunk. Retail on the 2 now instead of on the 5. I think it's fine.
Yeah. Purging Flames. This is Consecrations again. This skill no longer reduces the I kind of like this change. Reduces the duration of incoming conditions. Instead of removing 3 conditions from allies when cast, it removes 1 condition from allies, and an additional 1 condition for every second the skill persists. So it kind of makes that trait for Consecrations, the one that increases the durations of them, more important to this skill than it was before.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I always felt like that was the worst Consecration by a long way.
Well, not for burn builds.
Well, it has big burn on the opener, but then you just don't walk through the ring, and then it's...
I know, but it is a very, very long burn. So if we're talking PvE, it was kind of good.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And in PvE, you can bait them back and forth. But yeah, that passive, like, support-y, beneficial side of it, definitely could have used a tune-up. And so, yeah.
And then we got Eternal Armory, change burning from 2 stacks for 2 seconds to 1 stack for 4 seconds. So it's the same amount of damage, but less bursty, I suppose.
Yeah, and the Spirit Weapon Burst thing was nuts with the sword. It was nuts.
Yep.
So I think that's fine.
And finally, I think this one I thought was interesting. I wrote it down. Stoic Demeanor. This trait now inflicts burning for 5 seconds in addition to inflicting slow. Reduce the internal cooldown from 5 to 3 seconds. Oh, I know why I thought this was interesting. Cooldown is now determined per target instead of globally. I think it's still not that interesting, is my takeaway. The reason why I thought it was interesting is that it's still not good enough compared to the other Grandmaster traits in that line, in the Firebrand.
I honestly think Stoic Demeanor is the worst Grandmaster in all of Guild Wars 2.
They added 5 seconds to burning to it on a 3-second cooldown. While the 2 other Grandmasters in there are one that allows your tomes to come back 33% faster, and also still the passives work, which is insane.
Yeah. No, wow, by the way, That trait is even better than you just said, Lore Master. It's the skills inside the tomes cool down quicker. So it's really huge. It's like you can spam, the big 5 in your F3 more regularly. You can spam cleanse more regularly in F2. You can spam the AoE damage on the F1. It's huge. Lawemaster's mental.
Yeah. So anyway, Stoic Demeanor, very underwhelming. Now slightly less underwhelming, but still underwhelming.
Yeah. I don't know whether the adding of burn is interesting. Maybe you could do it. I was actually trying this on like a weird mantra brand setup the other day.
But it's just like the fact that the passive effects remain in for
Loremaster means that you get the fire still, right? You get the passive.
Yeah, you're
F1.
still getting your passive burning from that, like, which is better than the Stoic Demeanor, because this Stoic Demeanor is on an internal cooldown.
Yeah, of 5 seconds. That's what's so huge about it.
3 seconds.
I love 3 seconds post-patch, yeah. Like, yeah. I like the idea that your mantra is immobe, and then the immobe does slow, and slow is brutal. And you can stack such a wild, you got another trait elsewhere that's like whenever you immobe, you vuln. You can like slap out, you can dunk condies on someone with the right firebrand setup and Stoic Demeanor. It just feels so painful to run it. So, yeah.
I think they either gotta change that internal cooldown or like split the burning and the slow to different internal cooldowns.
Even the idea of buffing it till it's good scares me, because I don't like slow that much in the game.
But that's what I'm saying, put them on a different internal cooldowns.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah, and that's the last change. I like Grandmaster changes, and it's nice to see them buffing what I consider to be a very poor one.
Agreed. So that's Guardian, and now I think you're in for Ranger.
Oh, I'm doing Ranger, am I? Okay.
Yes, you are.
So, and once again, we've left Ranger till right near the end of the video. Sorry, everybody.
We got Thief afterwards, though.
We do. We've left the 2 medium classes here till very near the end. So, let's run through Ranger. Ranger really didn't have anything that substantive, but you guys are gonna have to relearn some things when it comes to sword, because they've messed with the positioning of some of the sword skills. I use the word messed there. It probably is in service of a better set up for us. So I guess I'll just get rolling in on what they say. Let's see. Do I remember my alphabet? Where is Ranger on the list? Here we go. In this update, we're making a major change to sword skills in order to better improve their flow during combat. The Monarch's Leap, the Hornet's Sting, and the Serpent's Strike are all shuffling around into new slots, which should make the weapon a little easier to understand. We're also including some enhancement for the offhand dagger, which has been a pretty weak weapon since it hasn't kept up the pace of the game very well.
Yeah.
And finally, we're simplifying the Greatsword's counter-attack skill and taking some of the power out of the chain attack sequence. We hope these changes will make the weapon feel a little smoother while removing some of the frustrating random dodges that happen while fighting against it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I'm not sure what they're talking about with random dodges on counterattack. It sounds like that last sentence was actually referring
Well,
to
I think the
sword.
counterattack is not... I don't think they're talking about the counterattack.
Yeah, in the last sentence, they're talking about the other stuff, right? But, okay, so what I want to do is just have a little section on the video for everybody so we all know how the sword is currently working, all right? And it's just a final kiss goodbye, all right? Because you're not going to see this going forwards. So, sword, we have... The skill 2, all right, is a flip over. It starts on Hornet Sing, which will move us back. And then it becomes the Monarch's Leap, which is a leap and will actually combo, say, out of your smoke scale. Right, so when I roll back, I don't get anything, but when I jump through, I do, and we get a stealth, okay? So this leads to about-face gameplay, like, if you're a thief withdrawing, where you want to do that back, and then you go forwards, and it's kind of clunky and weird. Also, we then have the Serpent Strike, which is just an evade that moves us behind the guy, poison, a bit of flat damage. The thing is, usually in Guild Wars, they have it set up now that the skill 3 is the, leap forward kind of skill. Usually this is on the 3, and the 2 would be something else. True. So I think that's kind of what the devs are looking at here. So this is how it currently works now, and remember the names of the skills very clearly, guys. We'll go into some other changes and then they'll talk about it in a second. So first of all, Longbow Auto in World vs. World has the minimum damage of the skill been reduced and the maximum has been reduced. They kind of squished it down. It's kind of to stop some of these crazy Soul Beast interactions where you just one-shot.
From 1500 range, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now we got sword. Okay, the sword auto attack. They've updated the icons for crippling thrust and precision swipe. I don't know why. What's so bad about the icons as they currently stand? Do you know? I don't really think about these much. I don't get to see it on the skill preview.
Wait, let me see. I'm trying to see. They are ugly? I don't know. Maybe somebody came up with really nice designs for them and wanted to use them.
All these new icons, I can't help but feel that they've scrapped an idea to have lots of new elite specs going around. You know, just like with the new preparations from that other patch with Thief, you know, and they look like they were these amazing things. Stalker's Strike. So we're looking at Dagger offhand now. Now listen to this, Boots. Base damage. So this is the Little Evade. You do a Little Evade and you hit them, right? Base damage has been increased by 200%.
That's a lot of percent.
And the attack deals double damage and inflicts 2 poison stacks if it hits someone already with a movement impairing condition.
Whoa, so like 400%. No, wait, 600%. That's a lot of damage.
600? Okay, but it currently does like nothing. It's one of those skills that does like
But how much so what's your current build and how much is it doing?
I'm not sure I even have a dagger on the character, man. I don't think I have a dagger. But it's like pathetic. It does like no damage. And now it will do a bit of damage. So, you know, don't be deceived. I always like it in a moment where this comes up with the patch. I do think it's a worthwhile thing though, by the way. I do think it's worth them doing.
Yeah, if it does no damage, it's good that it now does damage.
Okay, and then we have Dagger 5, which is, you know, you throw the little crippling talon out. This skill is now ammo-based. You get 2 ammo. It's got a 15-second count recharge, 1 second between each throw. I think this is a perfect kind of skill to have on a count recharge. You know, a throwing knife? Yep. Come on.
Yeah, just like the X.
Yeah, they reduce... Wait, Axe? On what character?
Warrior Axe?
Oh, yeah, Warrior Axe 3. Exactly, yeah. Exactly like that. Reduce the cripple duration from 6 to 4. And reduce the bleed from 8 to 6, just because we'll be spamming it out a bit more regularly.
More often, yeah.
Okay, so then we have the sword stuff. Hornet Sting. Hornet Sting has moved to weapon slot 3. Okay. Whoa, I'm dying in game. We were not looking in the game for a second.
So this is this is what you were just talking about.
Yeah. So Hornet Sting is the roll back. Okay. You now roll back on the 3. Okay. And then they say, keep up, if it, also they increased its recharge to 15 seconds. Then Monarch's Leap, which is the one that would jump you forwards, that is now the main skill on slot 2.
Wait.
So in game right now, they've completely decoupled. Right now, one chains into the other. They don't chain into each other now. Now it's post-patch, it will be press 2 to jump forwards at any point.
Oh, that's a lot easier to use, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So now you get the leap finisher instantly. So I can smoke scale F2 and just leap in it straight away. I don't have to roll back before I get access to it.
Okay. So then you can't, for like just, I guess it really doesn't matter anymore that we have mounts, but like for mobility, just getting around a map without hitting anything, you don't have that double leap anymore.
No, but... Yeah,
but you have it on skill 3 now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's still there. It's just on the 3. Exactly. Yeah. So you can leap forwards with 2 and then about face 3 and leap again. Go forward again, right?
Okay.
So that just leaves Serpent Strike. So where is Serpent Strike now? The little 180. Serpent Strike is after your skill 2 leap forwards.
Okay.
So you jump forwards and then you can Serpent Strike after.
And go around them.
So they chain together now. And the devs think that will feel a bit better. I guess for
Will it though? Hold on a second though. Will it though? If it's a follow-up skill, I don't know if that really does feel that much better because you're going to have a tell, right? Like so if someone is up next to you attacking you and then does Monarch's Leap, which is going to be an obvious thing, they'll jump into the air a little bit and hit you. Yeah. Then they'll know they'll have the follow-up Serpent Strike right after that.
Yeah, I mean, for PvP and Wild vs. Wild, that's definitely a thing. How long you can wait before you chain, I guess, won't necessarily change. You can wait a bit.
Especially since Serpent Strike is kind of like both a positioning and a evadey kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if it's hidden behind Monarch's Leap, I don't know how much people are going to like that.
Yeah, so you get a bit more utility in terms of, like, stealthing out and stuff and movement, easier movement, possibly. But I think what they don't like, I don't think they like the whole about face thing. I don't think they like players having to learn how to like what I'm doing currently on the footage. I don't think they like this.
I get that. Yeah, but all that is to say is, I think the biggest effects from this is that Serpent Strike is hidden behind another skill, so it's not always available to dodge with, but you'll be able to use it more than twice as often as you have been before.
Okay.
Because the cooldown is going to be reduced tremendously.
Yeah. Okay, so next we go over to Greatsword. And they've got Greatsword 3. Swoop fixed an issue that prevented the casting bar from this skill from matching the actual casting time of the dash. Not sure what's going on with that. I think with Greatsword as well, I want to see them deal with that like clunkiness where you like stop halfway on the GS3. It's super annoying. Okay, so next we've got Counterattack, which is gonna, it's gonna see some pretty big changes. Part of it you're gonna think is a nerf, but I think the other part is going to be a really significant buff, okay? So, first of all, they're removing the crippling throw follow-up, all right? So right now, we choose to block, and we can throw it out and cripple people, right? And, you know, it's actually okay damage on there, by the way. I can't mouse over to see the flip over right now in game, but it's okay damage. And quite often, I actually didn't even use that much, but this is going away. So kiss it goodbye, guys. This is the last you'll really be seeing. There you go. That's your thrower. Nice little kiss there. Now, in exchange, what are we getting instead? Well, with the counterattack kick, okay, which is when we block if someone's close to us, we kick. Currently in game, your character will automatically kick. You'll sacrifice all the blocking to just kick and CC. Which sounds good, but it's actually really annoying because there's a thing with Greatsword 4 right now, which is, what if you want the full block duration? Well, that's fine against ranged people. You're blocking, but someone gets close to you, and your character automatically goes on the offensive when you don't want him to. I don't want to sacrifice all my blocking and kick this guy, against one target, and then get instantly killed. I want to keep blocking, and that's always been like a weird thing on Ranger. Some of you are going to say, oh, but that's the point. People can run into melee to counterplay it and stuff. But I think it's always a weird moment when the character does something you didn't explicitly ask it to, and that's what.
How long does the block last for on the skill currently?
Ages. This skill is loaded. Like, it's ridiculous.
So, but then wouldn't you say that if that's the case, if they aren't going to be stopping blocking after they blocked an attack, that they would reduce the time?
What do you mean?
Shouldn't they reduce the time on skill 4?
Oh, yeah. Well, the block duration, that's what I would like to see. Yeah, I want to see the power. I would have been happy with that. Definitely, Boots. I'm well on board with you there. I would have just liked to see this go down. But Rangers have been through the runner recently with nerfs, all right? They have. And I haven't really had a really annoying situation with counterattack being so long for a while. So, I'm not going to sit here and advocate that necessarily. But
here, you haven't gotten to the last part of this, though.
Yeah. But here's the buff bit, okay? So we can no longer throw it out. But now, you will no longer auto-kick. I'm pretty sure the way it's going to happen is you choose to kick with the flip over explicitly. And when you do so, the kick now is 3 targets instead of 1. It executes quicker, and it evades while you are kicking back.
Exactly.
So you don't even, like, in a scenario where no one's hitting you from range, you don't even sacrifice any defense to do it,
So is it just me, or is there like a ton more evades on ranger weapons right now after this patch?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of it's been oriented around that, right? Especially depending on how the sword stuff ends up feeling. But yeah, so wow. I think this is much bigger as a skill now, much bigger. The fact that it's going to be one of those hard CCs that you're evading while doing it. I hope you guys like Bull's Rush. Do you like using Bull's Rush? Because we like Bull's Rush. We're going to add more Bull's Rush style interactions to the game. So there you go, and I think that's a big thing for on the whole. I actually think that it's buffed. I think the amount of times you're going to get value out of evading while countering with a hard CC is much over just being able to throw out the Greatsword. So Boots, that's one whole thing with Greatsword. What is the other kind of annoying thing about Greatsword, both as a ranger and against rangers? What's the other annoying thing do you think about Greatsword?
I don't know.
Okay.
Auto attack.
Yeah, it's a bit daredevil-y. I like that you guessed at the auto attack there. All right. The third chain of the Greatsword auto is an evade, right? So it's kind of like a weird sort of semi-uncontrollable evade that sometimes will allow you to dodge a critical thing, right? As long as you're autoing. The third one is currently called, where do we go? We go Power Stab, I think it is. So you're evaded just while you're a bit like
so wait a second. So that's what they're talking about in the intro. We're removing some of the frustrating random dodges.
Right, that's it. Here we go. So the random dodges are going to be gone, guys. All right, they're renaming Power Stab to a new skill. It's going to be called Enduring Swing. Enduring Swing does not evade. It now simply gives endurance. So guess what?
Oh.
Evades tied to dodge roll animations? Who would have thunk it? Much better designed. Much better. So that's like one of the crappy elements of vanilla that they're refining out. I love moments like this where it's like, look, balance getting better, even over 2012. So I'm really happy with that. And then finally, Quick Draw fixed a bug that prevented it from reducing recharge time. I don't know what that bug was or how regularly it triggered, but there you go. fixed.
But it's fixed. So that is Ranger. Okay, that took way longer than expected.
Beautiful. Okay, so there you go. That's Ranger. And that leaves us...
with Thief, which is...
You're doing Thief, right? You're covering
Thief? I'm doing Thief. There's some interesting things in it.
Now, this is going to be based on the Shadow Art stuff, which I haven't played with enough.
It's not all Shadow Art stuff, though.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So I'll get right into it, though. The previous Shadow Arts update landed pretty well overall, but we think that the siphons ended up a little weak. We're tuning these up a bit, and as well as touching up a few other traits that didn't feel quite right. In addition to these changes, we're updating Improvisation to recharge a random utility skill on the skill bar rather than a random utility skill type. This change is intended to lower the variance on the trait and allow for more flexibility in utility selection. Finally, the stolen bundles now use the ammo system in order to help with readability. So yeah, some good stuff here. Steal fixed above that caused the Shadow Step to fail in rare situations.
Wait. Is that talking about like no valid path or what?
Oh, maybe that's what they mean in rare situations. Hopefully, that would be great.
Okay.
I mean, anytime a thief steal fails when it shouldn't fail is extremely annoying. So if they could fix all of those issues, that would be great.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't know. How often does steal fail when it's not because of valid path? I think that if you
rare situations, there's probably some people who could tell us.
Yeah, I think if you shadow step away at the perfect time, you can interrupt steal as well. There's some weird stuff, but I don't know if that's what they're talking about, right?
It doesn't sound like that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, because it's like... Anyway, yeah, I mean, I just don't play enough Thief. All right, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And Swipe, this is interesting. Also the same thing about Shadow Step to fail in rare situations, but then reduce the recharge from 30 to 25 seconds.
So you're... Okay, so Daredevils get to baseline steal more. Interesting.
That is right.
So Swipe's kind of a weird story, Boots, where, like... Obviously, they traded range for unblockable a couple of patches back, and people are still not settled on that. Some people want more range, some people don't like the unblockable, stuff like that. I guess the devs just say, well, look, here, we'll just buff it a bit more by modifying the recharge.
I mean, fine. A good reduction in cooldown is always good for people.
The most oppressive Condi Thief variant right now, which people are actually looking at on the YouTube video that I'm wandering around on, is a Daredevil, and they run like confusion on steel and stuff, and the poison you inflict on steel is really heavy.
I know all about that.
So they'll be doing that more regularly. I'm going to be very disappointed if we don't really see many Condi Thief changes in this set.
There are some changes to Shadow Arts that do affect Condi a bit, but not, I don't think, the Condi Thief that you're thinking of.
Yeah, that wasn't really a Shadow Heart setup, I think, most people.
Yeah.
But, okay, go on.
So then we got Hidden Thief fixed above that can cause this trait to activate even if Steal failed. Okay, that's good. And then Leeching Venoms. This trait now immediately grants a stack of Spider Venom when the Thief first enters stealth, and then every 3 seconds afterwards, rather than after 3 seconds.
Okay, wait. This is a new Shadow Arts thing, right?
Yeah.
This is while in stealth you stacked Venoms, isn't it?
That's right, up to 6 maximum stacks, I believe. And it's the poison stacks.
What was it? Was it a Grandmaster? Where is it in the?
I think it's a master.
Gain stacks of spider venom while stealth, leeching venoms. See, this is such a cool flavor idea to me. I really like the idea.
I haven't used it yet, but I like the idea of it. And now the fact that you get a stack of it when you first enter stealth rather than having to wait in stealth, that is very good.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So it just keeps rolling. Is there no upper limit on it?
There's 6. 6 stacks is the upper limit.
Okay, so you just kind of get a free utility skill, basically.
Constantly, yeah, because you're going to be going in stealth a lot as a Shadow Arts
It just took me a long time to get the Venoms up there.
That's because because it currently isn't in the new format.
Okay, all right. So post-patch, this will be a bit more worthwhile. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit more worthwhile.
I gotcha.
And then Improvisation, instead of recharging an entire skill category at random, this now recharges one of your equipped utility skills, like we said before.
This is cool, right?
This is good. This is good, because I remember trying to make a few builds with Improvisation. Improvisation is a very good skill, but I've been trying to make some a trait, but I've been trying to make some builds with it that try to max out Improvisation to try to make sure that everything about it is perfect. So you use all different high quality skill types in your build, and it's not worth it overall, I think. But so this just makes it worth it overall to take Improvisation no matter what, because you don't have to really concentrate on randomizing your or like taking a big array of different skill categories, you could go all one kind of skill category and still get use out of it.
Does this also mean that no matter what, every single time I steal, I'm getting a refund? Like, there's no such thing as a zero value steal in terms. Like, every single steal I do, I will always get one.
That is right, unless you don't have anything on cooldown.
Do you think? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Do you remember the new chaotic interruption change we looked at earlier, where it will only proc on something that is
currently recharging? Oh, do you think that, like, let's say you only have one skill recharging, it won't recharge that skill necessarily? It would try to do a random one first?
Yeah, let's say I've only used Shadow Step. Everything else is fine. I steal into a dude. Do I guaranteed get my Shadow Step back straight away?
I'm guessing no, because I think it's random and it doesn't have to be recharging.
Yeah, it's not worded the same way as the new CI, is it?
Exactly.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy, but I think that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Because that's an unlimited combo right away with Mercy, right?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, because you would steal Mercy, steal Mercy, steal Mercy. Yeah, good point. Deadeye's Mark. You could just do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. So that's not happening. So then we get Stolen Bundles. Stolen Bundles now show their number of uses as ammunition.
So this is for like improv because you can cast them twice. I guess that makes sense. Do you think even without improv, we'll see like a little ammo icon there all the time now?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. All right.
Shadow Siphoning, increased base healing by 62%. I think this is the one that you get siphon health when you're on your shadow attacks on your.
Is that one of the other new shadow arts things from last patch as well?
Yeah. So it's not like you get crazy benefit off of it with your pistol main hand stealth attack as opposed to other ones. But increasing the base healing by 62% means I guess you get 400 health instead of 300 health per second.
Right.
It's okay.
Okay.
Cloaked in Shadow, increased base damage and base damage multiplier by 100%, increased base healing by 100% and heal multiplier by 60%. This one I am way more interested in.
So where's Cloaked in Shadow at the moment? Shadow Arts again?
Shadow Hearts again. Cloaked in Shadow is the one that says
gaining stealth blinds people.
Fine.
Siphons.
There you go. With no internal cooldown, blinding foes siphons health from them.
Yeah.
So I tried to make a build with it on its original form. It was underwhelming because the life siphon damage is very small. But now if we're basically doubling the life siphon damage and doubling the traits bonuses to it, this could end up being not terrible, because you could run a Daredevil build and do combos in blind fields with your dodges. That could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was trying this with the new, because last patch they added this at the same time as making Smokescreen a full ring. And I was trying to like proc as many blinds out of it and stuff, with projectiles or whatever. And I like the idea of going back to it, because that's big. That is big, actually. 200%. Well, no, not 200%, but still. They've doubled it. They've doubled the efficacy of the trait, basically. So that's big.
Yeah. And then finally, Lead Attacks fixed a bug that caused this trait to grant less than the listed 15% recharge reduction.
Oh, man, we're going out on just a bug fix.
Yeah,
that's the last change.
Cloaked in Shadow. Just delete that last one. Cloaked in Shadow, that's the biggest one.
Oh, no. Well,
it's not actually.
So there you go. So which class do you think you're most excited about overall of all of them?
Oh, maybe Warrior, just to try it out.
Yeah, I think Warrior for me too. Warrior or the Poison Nova thing. I really want to try the Poison Nova thing. I'm very curious, especially in PvE, because it's just so buffed in PvE. Yeah. So it's a shame there's like no new. There's actually going to be limited new animations for the first time this year. Most balance patches have had loads of new animations for us. This one didn't have loads of new animations.
Well, it had a lot of new skill icon changes.
It did have icons, that's true, it did. Well, there you go, guys. That is the balance preview. If we can find something good to talk about or builds and interesting things that have come out of it, you'll be sure that we make more videos. Thanks very much for coming on, Boots. And
no problem.
Hopefully the devs do another one very soon. Also, sometimes they do like mini patches that end up actually being really substantive after a main release. So we'll see. Oh, by the way, I'm excited about the Rev stuff as well, the Chalice thing.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So if we see fun stuff with that, you can be sure that we'll be back. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. There's a playlist link to see our coverage of every single balance patch for the past 2 years now, probably, I think. you can check out in the description. And I hope you all have a good one. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.